Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Town of Manlius Planning Board meeting for January 13th, 2025. We are both online and in person. Our first item on the agenda is an approval of our minutes from our December 9th, 2024 meeting. Does anybody have any comments or discussion? I had sent Lisa a couple things, just a couple edits, no content edits really. If there's no discussion or comments, I'll look for a motion to approve.
Second.
Okay.
Amended minutes.
Okay, motion made by Don, second by Rich. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion carries. The next item on our agenda, since it is January, the first meeting of the year, is our organizational meeting. Here's some boring. David, if you don't mind, yeah, letting them know we can hear them. So I'd like to thank the town board for appointing me as chairperson of the planning board for this year 2025. I'd also like to recognize that Don Western is going to continue on as a member of the planning board for a period of 7 years that will expire on December 31st, 2031. And then I'd look any discussion or a motion made to accept the appointment of Baldwin and Sutphin Law Firm with Jamie Sutphin as attorney for the planning board.
I so moved.
Okay, motion made by David.
Second.
Second by Rich. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion carries. Thank you, Jamie.
I'll make a motion to appoint Miller Engineering as the planning board engineer. Second.
All right, motion made by Rich, second by Arnie. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion carries.
I'll make a motion to appoint Lisa Beeman as the planning board clerk.
Okay, motion made by Judy,
Second.
second by Arnie. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion carries. And thank you to Jamie, Lisa, and Doug for all your work on the planning board. So now our planning board 2025 meeting schedule is on our attachment here to our agenda. The board will meet on the second and fourth Mondays of the month unless otherwise stated at 6:30 p.m. And the board will approve the application filing deadline schedule, which is also listed as follows. All applications are due at 12 p.m. noon on the filing deadline date for that meeting date. I'll take a motion to approve the schedule.
So moved.
Okay, motion made by Rich, seconded by Don. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion carries for the 2025 meeting schedule and filing deadline schedule. Okay, thank you. Our next item on the agenda is for Danielle and Ryan Ebert. This is at 8291 East Seneca Turnpike, Manlius, New York. This is for a recommendation to the Zoning Board of Appeals and to set a date for the public hearing. This is for Fawcett's Doggy Daycare at the same address, tax map number 099.01-27.4.
I will recuse myself. Don't forget about me out there.
Okay, I'll let you know. Rich is recusing himself. Okay, and
Lisa's gonna pull that up.
So,
we can
okay.
make that.
all right, good.
You can see all the.
So we have
It's
the,
woodland.
yeah, we have the map up, they are looking for a 4-foot side yard variance, side yard setback variance for the shed that Lisa's showing right now, right?
Yes.
And they're also asking for a 20-foot rear yard setback variance for the existing garage, which is going to become part of the dog daycare. The landscape business, as we saw on the plan before, is moving to the lot behind it.
So you may recall that this is, I don't know what iteration number that we've seen on this, but they now have a lot of a conforming size for the district. They have the appropriate frontage. And there is right now an attempt, if this board is so inclined to recommend, to accommodate existing structures on the site that are going to be used for doggy daycare. 2 of the structures that you see that would be non-conforming are being moved. That one, yep, that one. And the one that meets the variance, right next to it, it is on a permanent foundation. And then the building that is there is going to be used as part of the doggy daycare center, should that be approved. So ultimately, the zoning board of appeals will go through the criteria that they're required to go through, compatibility to neighborhood and, you know, the other criterion that are required by zoning board. So they're looking to this board to say, you know, what, from a planning standpoint, why this board thinks or does not think that is an idea.
Does anyone have any comments or discussion?
I only have one thing, and it isn't so much to do with the site plan, but in response to the email that we received from the neighbors of the Passionate Care Veterinary Hospital, and I guess to anybody else who might be listening here or online or on our replay, you can sign up online on the town's website to receive notifications about the agendas for the different boards. And you know, they were concerned that this was the first time they heard about this, and I found that that would be very uncomfortable. But we've been working on this project for quite a while now, and so without fully understanding the way the town disseminates the information, I think that that's a really helpful way for people to make themselves aware of what's going on in their community.
Well, also, this is not the public forum, so there's actually
So we have
2 opportunities for public hearings coming up. One will be at the zoning board of appeals meeting, and then at our public hearing. So this is just the
Yeah,
recommendation.
and that's why they heard from the town now because of the zoning board of appeals public hearing, and then we're setting our public hearing. So, but yeah, anyone who wants to be abreast of minutes, agendas, what's going on in the town, you can sign up to receive the agendas and minutes to your inbox, to your email. So you don't even have to like remember to go look. It just comes right to you, and you can choose to look or not look. You would get notice of a public hearing if you're within a certain distance. Lisa, what is it for public hearing notice?
For ZBA or for our public?
For planning board,
1,000 feet.
1,000 feet. So,
That's separate than signing up for notice.
but otherwise, to be for town board, planning board, zoning board, it's all on the website, and you can sign up to get any or all of them notifications. So, yeah, like Jamie said, we've had multiple iterations of this. We've gone back and forth, different subdivisions, different layouts. It has been set back quite a bit from 173, which I think is great. And they've separated everything out. The 20-foot setback that they're asking for, which normally would be 40, and they're asking for 20. Again, at this time, is there between the 2 subdivided properties. And then the shed again is between the 2 subdivided properties. So I'm in favor of a positive recommendation to zoning board, but like to hear what anybody else says, and if anyone wants to make a motion.
I'll make a motion.
I think anyone can give, some comments, that would be helpful to the zoning board, you know, just as to why this, you know, these variances work from a planning standpoint. That would be helpful to them.
Do we need to talk about the, or?
Well,
the
you can bring
separate,
that up if you want to talk about, you know, maybe the recommendation would carry with it to make sure there's appropriate fire access, right?
The easements,
Yeah,
yeah.
to include the fire.
So that
access
happens now
easement.
versus like.
We can do that as, then the ZEA can have it as part of their recommendation as well.
So there needs to be an easement to the main property to get through the new property.
Yeah, for fire access and turnaround.
Access, not just for fire, but for, and like the public as well, customers, deliveries.
Access and turnaround back here.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
the front lot can't impede that.
With that,
And there's a utility, are we gonna have utility easements?
well, but that'll be part of the planning board later. Later.
I mean, from a planning perspective. It's fine.
It doesn't really, hurt what's happening in this rear
No.
yard from a planning
No,
perspective.
Don't you feel uncomfortable of taking the town specifications and just reducing them to the convenience of the applicant?
Well, that's for the zoning board to decide.
But it's for us to do a recommendation.
Right.
I don't have a hat to the zoning board, but we've been working on this thing now for over a year.
Mhm.
And it has been a cobbled together mess from day one. It's better than it was, but it still looks to me like a messy, sloppy, not very good solution. The problem is that they don't want to invest properly in doing it right. And I haven't said anything for a very long time, but when you get all done with this, it's gonna look terrible. It's gonna be only legal because we recommend to the zoning board that they cut the variance distance from 40 to 20 feet. I'm not in favor of that personally, I would go against it.
okay.
So I don't disagree with it. However, but my problem is that I don't feel that that's enough of a business. Right? Like that's kind of,
With recommendation to the zoning board, they're looking for our blessing, okay?
Yeah.
If it's okay with the planning board, it's probably gonna go through the zoning board. I don't wanna say okay, I don't think it's okay.
What would be your recommendation, Artie?
I would
Changes
recommend,
or?
I would recommend that we just not approve. I would recommend no. I would say to the zoning board, I don't think it's a good idea.
But the variances are.
The variances.
Yeah, the
And
two
it's,
variances.
you know, it's my dear friend and mentor, who's not here right now, and say I'm just one vote. Here.
Arnie, I get a question.
Sure, Dave.
I agree with you on principle, and we're changing something for one particular part of this. Going with what basically what they need to do and why. But I'm looking at the site, whether we give it or we don't give it. It's a huge improvement to the look of the neighborhood from what it is right now. If we do not
I agree.
give them that, it does not benefit the town in any way. It's a mess. We've had them hiding the legal, illegal, I don't want to call them sheds and stuff, moving them out of the way. It's got a new facility that's gonna go in there, it's gonna improve the looks of the place. They divided the entrance to the new facility from that of the residential part. So it has a lot of improvement to the existing condition. And if it doesn't pass, it doesn't go to the zoning board with that minimal change, it's not gonna improve the community, it's going to keep it the way. What do you think of that?
I think that's a very good argument, and I politely disagree.
Well, I think I agree with both of you. going back to what has been proposed and why we have looked at multiple iterations is because we've been putting our good faith out there to work with the neighbors and keep it with the character of the community and making the site look nice, as David says, making some improvements to the site. If you look at it now and you can just see that landscape and stuff, this is going to look a little nicer from the street view, and the garage won't even be seen. Either will the proposed one in the back, and where the garage is with that 20-foot setback isn't really affecting any other neighboring properties or really doing any harm with that 20 feet with the property behind it, with the landscaping property, even if, you know, with the two different properties. So I understand what you're saying. I don't know if, you know, it looks a little, I feel like it looks a little messier right now because we've got multiple buildings that are being relocated. So we've got two buildings that are on here twice. So I see what you're saying, where it looks a
Final
little
site plan, they will
messy.
be off.
Yeah, so it will look a little cleaner, but I think just even covering up that garage and having it look, and we can, you know, even speak to having it look a little bit nicer as we go along, for what you can see from the road and from the neighboring properties. So,
And the setback is not from the main road, setback is
from the
back.
back
So
property,
it's really not affecting anything as far as. the
right,
Main road and the neighborhood is concerned. It's a
Yeah.
setback from the back for the future. Furthermore, I think, if I'm not mistaken, after the zoning board, if they do approve it with our recommendation, they still have to come back to us and we
Yeah.
can do the.
Oh, yes, there's going to be a
I
public
mean,
hearing.
yeah.
It's not done.
The full site.
Can we put a condition that no additional outbuildings or storage buildings? I mean, if there's, on this front property?
If that's important to the variance, if you want to request that the ZBA put that as a condition.
I don't know how everybody feels about that, or Arnie, if
I
I
think that involves more exploration. That's pretty. They wanted to get rid of, you know, how could they not get rid of, could they not add, could they not exchange, and that might be tricky.
There's no room to add anything more, and they have to come back
You
to
would
us.
think, you would
They
think.
have to
And
come
they
back.
have
They
to
could
come back to us.
right, if they did it, they would come back to us, yeah.
Well, once the site plan is approved, they have to come back for anything they want to add.
Even a shed.
Yes.
But not a fence.
Yes. If it's something that requires site plan approval, like a commercial space and they want to put the fence, yes, they would have to come here for a fence.
I think we would have to be, I think we'd want to at least, even if that's in our code or, well, I think we'd want to be clear that they would have to come back. For that, because there hasn't been direct.
Well, they talked about
Following
fence
of
outside
rules.
for the doggy daycare rules, wasn't it?
There is a fence, yeah.
I thought the properties always looked disorganized. I think this brings better organization to it. And I think all the iterations they've gone through and they finally got to the point where they could do a conforming lot. I think that's a big step forward because then it became consistent with the zoning requirements of this section. When the two sheds are removed, I think that will help the optics considerably. As has been pointed out, the variances are really related to properties that affect the adjacent parcel, which is owned by the people who own this parcel. So it's not a detriment to a third party. The optics from the road have always found uncomfortable, let's say, and I think this will improve it. In the sense, what is the neighborhood and the recent letter we received. Given that is a veterinary business, there's a business in fronts on the road, so this doesn't set a precedent in that regard.
I think it's even in line.
And clearly we have an applicant who has a goal in mind. And we've done a lot to reflect to no end the number of the things that folks want to do to bring them into what I think is at least reasonable conformance of what our expectations are, both in our comprehensive plan and what is the context of that side of the street. So I would support a recommendation to the zoning board.
Don, do you wanna make a motion?
I'll make a motion to do so.
I'll second it.
We have a motion made by Don, seconded by Judy. All in favor?
Are we adding first any points that's on the board that we want to add?
I think Jamie
I
has.
think, do we want to add that it was, subject to approval of the appropriate turnaround and access, on the back lot? And I would say if we said it was subject to further referral to the planning board to address all matters in site plan review, that's going to address a lot of what was being talked about here.
Okay.
Just to our this point, can we make a restriction or recommendation to make a restriction that if they are to do anything with the second law or with the effects of the act on the second law, that they cannot do so, put a restriction on them? Because
Like what do you mean?
well, you've got the variance that you're asking for.
Right.
If that variance comes out in the future and they want to sell the second lot, for example.
Well, right now, this is all one lot.
Right, they're making a subdivision,
This, if they want to sell this,
yeah.
the easements that we're going to talk about which are going to be very strictly, looked at and reviewed, will be part of this site plan approval and will have to be recorded prior to any permits being issued. So that's going to impede that property. So they'll need to be prepared for that, and I believe they are. We'll talk to their council about it.
I'm ready.
Okay, everybody else good on those conditions? Okay, all right, so we have a motion made by Don, second by Judy, with the conditions and a positive recommendation to the ZBA. All in favor? Any opposed? Okay, motion carries. We'll get that to the ZBA. And now, no, not yet. I think we can also go ahead and set a date for the public hearing, if everybody feels comfortable with that. Our date would be February 10th, Lisa? Yes. Okay. So I ask for a motion to set the public hearing for February 10th.
For the planning board.
Yeah, we
public
would hear
hearing.
back from the ZBA by then.
What if they change, do they have to, drawing change, what if they change their drawings if it's based on the?
Well, we'll open the public hearing and continue it. Or if we get a negative
If we have
recommendation,
negative, yeah.
then we'll open it. Yeah.
So pending public hearing, okay.
I'm trying to understand this stuff better.
Right, just the kind of the procedure, so.
To keep it
Keep it
moving.
moving.
Yeah. Okay, anyone would like to make a motion to set the public hearing for February 10th?
I will make a motion.
Okay, motion made by Aaron,
I'll second.
second by David. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion carries for a public hearing for the Possett's Doggy Daycare for February 10th, 2025. Okay, thank you.
And I'm going to recuse myself for this next discussion.
And you can let Rich come back.
And I'll let Rich come back in.
Okay. I'll wait for Rich for a second here. So the next item on our agenda is for Shadi and Jessica Awad for 7147 East Genesee Street, Fayetteville. This is on the agenda for a public hearing for their site plan and accessory use permit for their mental health counseling, which is tax map number 085.06-09.0. So before we open the public hearing, we have to go through seeker, but before that, I also, is there anyone here on behalf of the applicant? Okay. I just want to let you know, we have received a few letters in advance of the public hearing addressing stormwater concerns and also traffic concerns, specifically parking on Homewood and access through Homewood and the traffic. It's my understanding, and correct me anybody if I'm wrong, that there was a dental office existing. No, okay, sorry. I knew that I had, we've had so many along, along Route 5, okay. So we've heard from that as far as access on and off Homewood, parking, street parking, the current businesses are parking on the street as well. And that it's very difficult for the neighbors to get in and out of there. I personally had a close friend who lived on Homewood, so I'm familiar with the traffic in and out of there, and in general, just trying to get in and out of onto Route 5. The concerns about stormwater and just to let you know, Ed, we're suggesting as well to consider the parking lot, questioning whether, and this is for the board, y'all receive this, as to whether that should be paved, whether we could look at gravel to help reduce some of that. But I do know Doug has been waiting for the stormwater report, which he has not received to date. So Doug, before we go into seeker, I'll let Ed talk a little bit, and if you have any questions on that directly.
Sure.
Go ahead.
Yeah, so I think in light, when I first came in and we had pitched this, we are proposing a paved parking area, which we're still, my client wants to maintain keeping that proposal. They don't want to do gravel. But in light of these discussions that have come up with respect to drainage, I have decided to take a little more time and work on something on the north side of that parking lot to account for that.
Okay.
So originally, I just had an inverted crown in the parking lot. So we would collect everything in the middle, take it to the north into a low spot and just let it run off the site. But after hearing some of the concerns that some of the neighbors have, I've decided to step back, take a little bit of time and propose a practice in there that might help mitigate some of those concerns.
The concept of permeable paving applicable here? I recognize there's a maintenance requirement. And,
Yeah. And, you know, my history with those is, you know, if you have, in an instance like this, you know, the likelihood that it's going to be maintained properly is fairly low. And at that point, you know, once those areas fill in with silt, sand, salt, sediment, it just takes on the characteristics of a paved area anyway. So I just assume account for that and have an area proposed in here that'll help offset
Like I
some of
said,
that runoff.
depends on what else you think of.
Right.
Permeable paving, because there's any thought. Yes, it's a maintenance headache. Generally, you have to hire a third party to do the cleaning, so.
Yeah.
It's a cost thing. It's not a much person has to go out in order to ruin it.
I do have a couple comments. We received several emails, and the first one about the parking on the road. And sometimes there's people, it's already difficult to get in and out of that intersection. And the real estate office often has people on the road, and is there any way we could put some no parking signs or anything like that along there? And so I'm bringing that up as a question. Perhaps we need to check with the highway superintendent and see, but that seems like
I think the big takeaway from this proposal too is getting parking off the street,
right.
you know, creating a dedicated spot that's
Yep.
not on the street, so you don't have people parallel parking there on the
Yeah.
road.
Yep.
From my perspective, if you guys, the right of way, surprisingly, the right of way along Homewood is pretty deep into what is our front yard on Homewood, so there's not a whole lot that my client can do with that, so that would, I think, would fall
It
on
would
the
be
town
basically
to-
an opportunity to ask, this project bringing the opportunity to ask the highway superintendent if it's something that we could address, that they could take care of. They'd be the ones who could decide and come and put up the signs and do all that stuff. It would not, the cost of that would not fall on the applicant. But the project brings up an issue to our attention, and I think this is an opportunity to look at the bigger picture.
Right, not
and solve
specific
it.
to this property, but
Right.
for the whole area.
So that was one of the, and this is in a response to the people who wrote in. I want people to know that we're hearing them.
And we did, for anybody who hasn't viewed the last meeting, we were trying to maybe avoid some traffic on Route 5, but we did, get rid of that. So people are gonna be able to go exit and enter off of Route 5.
Speaking of the
No.
Oh, I'm sorry. I think it's okay.
Well, they
Yeah,
have,
sorry.
it brings up one common issue, and that is that the traffic on Route 5 is becoming a problem for people who are wanting to have small businesses along Route 5 to fit into this
Yeah.
common district, right? So that's just a side thing, but the other comment,
If I could just
oh, sure.
voice it. Any type of restriction, there's probably state law, there may even be county law about parking on the street in certain areas,
Mhm.
but that is an issue for the town board. If there's signs to be put up or not.
Right.
And
Right.
not
Not
the
the
planning
highway
board, not the highway department, it's a town board issue.
Town
So
board
the town board has to
Town
tell
board
Bob
action.
if he can put up a sign.
Okay, so we
Really?
For parking, yeah, it's a town board action.
So we'll have to,
We'll let them know.
Yeah. Let the town board know for sure. Talk to them about it.
Interesting, okay.
Okay.
Then the drainage stuff, someone had asked about permeable pavement, I think it was, and, my experience with that is it was really kind of pushed out on everybody a while back and got used a lot, and, it's not always the best answer, and I feel like in all of the applications that we all used it in, maybe 5% of those are the right application for it, and, it has a place, but it's not everywhere, I guess, is my general point. But that there are ways to improve that there, and I look forward to what you, come up with, and if you can go underground. I don't know what the water table is. I understand that that whole area has a history of drainage issues, though. And it's swampy, and, I mean,
Can I address that?
I don't
Not
know
yet.
about that.
Well, for the public hearing.
Because I
So,
haven't been there.
save it for the
I
public,
haven't been
yeah.
there for-
So anyway, I think that, you'll have, are you having, have you done a test pit, or for a water table or anything like that?
I haven't done any test pits out there. I do know on the soil survey, it shows a shallow water table. It's a well-drained soil, but it's got a shallow water table.
Well, I look forward, I'm sure you'll come up with something good. So, but yeah, I just wanted to let people know that we will. Seems like you're already doing it.
Aaron, it's very hard, I get this. Either on or
Turn it
whatever.
off, 'cause I'm kind of warm anyway.
I will turn off in a minute. I couldn't hear everything that you said, but it's important, and I'm sure you know this, but maybe the audience doesn't. There is no infrastructure for stormwater up there.
Right.
So everything just runs where it runs. Okay, and I think that's what you're talking about, just drainage in general.
Yeah.
It's a difficult area,
It is.
and
Oh,
the solution won't be perfect, but I'm sure he'll come up with what the best.
And I look forward to it, because we may be able to use it in other areas too.
Does anybody else on the board have any questions or comments before we proceed?
No, but I want to follow up with what Aaron said.
Sure.
I don't know whose responsibility and who we refer to, but several projects that have happened on Genesee Street and stuff, we talked about the issue of traffic and the access and stuff. I tried to look, I didn't see any traffic studies that have been done for this particular area. Have we-
Batar did one.
Huh?
I think Batar did one.
Did they? Okay, so I'm not.
Right.
Is there any recommendations, like putting in, synchronized lighting down Genesee Street so that we can,
Well, that's DOT state.
and,
So,
and
yeah.
do we do the recommendations from here, or how do we address something like this?
It's a DOT.
Good
That's where that stops.
Have you sent this
The
one to
DOT,
county?
and then we talk about something else.
Okay,
So you confirmed my fears. Thank you.
So you could certainly make a recommendation to the town board saying that you think there should be a traffic study initiated by New York State DOT.
Yeah, because this is
And
great.
they could forward that on and
For this
see where it
whole
goes.
section of the
For the
road.
corridor.
Sure.
This home sits on Homewood, really, not
Yeah,
Genesee
yeah.
Street.
I know.
Oh, I know, it is, yeah, yeah. Okay. so we can know
If you,
that.
if you could get that recommendation done tonight,
Yeah, right?
SMTC is looking for projects.
Oh, are they?
Okay. Anything else from board members? Okay. Ed, do you have anything else before we go through seeker? You wanna update us on anything else?
I think we've pretty much hit the highlights.
Okay, Doug, would you prefer we go through seeker first, or would you want Ed to just do a little bit of an overview? And
You have to
then
see
seeker and then
drawings,
public
don't you?
hearing?
You have anything more? Cool.
We can't, we have to see drawings. Or you seeker.
No, we don't. As a group, we've agreed that this is a type 2 action. So under, New York State regulations, they ask that we take the determination of the seeker now before we get too far into the public hearing. So the recommendation is to go over seeker this evening.
Really?
That was recommended by our committee.
Yes.
We do it before a public hearing.
Yeah, we always have. That's our policy.
No, we
So-
do it before the public hearing.
I can't answer the questions of seeker without seeing the drawing.
You don't have to participate.
Okay.
That's fine.
Okay, Ed, would you like to just maybe go over a little bit before we go into seeker though?
Yeah, and I
Where you are, other than you've updated us about the stormwater report, but anything else, just
far
as
as
an
just
overview
property goes,
before we
just
go
an
into
overview.
seeker and then public hearing?
Yeah. So we're currently proposing is 5 new parking stalls on the north side of the existing garage, which is north of the existing structure. And access, we're not proposing any new access to the building. They're gonna utilize the existing access on the west side of the building. There's a front door on the west side. There's also an opportunity, which I forgot to mention with respect to parking, where people still have an opportunity to park right in front of that existing garage. They're not gonna park in the garage, but they have an opportunity to park in front of the garage. It already been hit on earlier, but access to the site is exclusive off of Homewood. There is no access on Route 5 here. And again, kind of already hit on it, but it is an important issue. Any of the runoff is from this proposed action is going to be captured completely within the proposed parking lot and diverted to the north. Away from Homewood. So no drainage infrastructure on Homewood would be adversely impacted.
Can you show us on the other drawings, what you mean by the parking in
So,
front of the garage?
yeah, I was actually gonna mention that, because you're looking at something that I didn't do, and so it's Rich. So I think there might be,
Well, like Eric said, we
don't have drawings.
yeah,
We can't.
got,
so these are not the updated drawings.
I've got these drawings that I submitted with the short form, with the part 1 of the short form, going back a while, but
Yeah, we can't.
Do you have those listed?
For the-
Hmm.
Oh, no.
they're dated November 4.
So this is heritage.
Apparently, yes.
Yeah.
I've only got 3, so I must have given them out. Got 3 copies.
The latest one we have online is October 8th.
Let me see. Okay, hold on a second here.
But while they're looking at this, let me ask you a question. The issues with the parking situation, a lot of questions about parking.
Yep.
Looking at the lot size that you have, why can't we put in a parking lot?
We are. That's what I'm proposing.
In lot 641?
Or their garage. They own the lot into the tree line.
So what's been proposed here is parking in the backyard. And generally what we've asked the applicant to provide is an engineering study like we have traditionally on every lot in the RM zone along this roadway. And what we asked of the applicant is that the project that be imposed here has drainage that is less than or equal to the previous drainage characteristics of the site. That's been consistent over the last 20 years in the RM zone. So what we've asked the applicant to do is provide that drainage report. Absent of that, we have in front of us a seeker, and New York State asks us in our determination of what we have reviewed and looked at to make a determination of the impacts of whether we believe that this is a project that is of a type 2 nature, which we will look at and make a determination to solidify the type 2 action. Or if we believe that the impacts are going to be greater than what is on the application that's been put in front of us, then we would move to a coordinated review or a type 1 action or an environmental impact statement. That's what's in front of us today. So what New York State generally requests of us is to make that determination before we do public, yes, right? Before we have public input, so we have an unbiased review of what is going on here.
I understand.
Right, and we've made a determination to legal counsel that there's enough information that we have here that we should go through this process. And if we feel that we don't have enough information, or we feel there is a greater impact, then we would go into a scoping session or into a coordinated review. That's what's in front of us tonight.
An initial seeker is what you're saying.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I guess,
No, go ahead.
I was just gonna, what I'm looking at currently is not what's sitting on the table over there. So without seeing that, I'm not sure.
Have you visited the site, right? Have you visited the site? Are you familiar with the area? Are you familiar with the sketches that are in front of you? Right, this has been in front of us for over 6 months, I believe.
Those are not the right drawings.
So we're not,
Correct.
so we're not making it, we are not making a determination on approving it. We're just looking at the environmental impact of our knowledge of the area and what's in front of us, unbiasedly.
And I would say, based on these drawings, I can do seeker
I would think so.
with these drawings, but I didn't, that's what I kept saying, we don't have any plans, we don't have any plans, these are
I
the
don't have,
plans.
yeah, I don't have those
Okay.
there.
So
I don't know what happened.
that's down,
Did anyone?
the
have-
details to be worked out with the stormwater management.
Okay.
Right.
With that, I'm good. That was the missing piece, is all. All right, I also have seen the stuff you've been doing, and I think it'll be fine. I'm speaking to the completeness and accuracy of the drawings that he submitted on other projects.
Let me just see with a show of hands after they do the drawing, if there, how many people feel comfortable with going through seeker.
Yeah.
Okay, all right, so let's proceed with seeker. Yeah,
That would be my
it's very good.
So we have an application. The applicant has completed the, part one of the seeker. And the part two, most of it, we're all familiar with, has a series of 11 questions that I would ask you. I'll read out loud and you can answer as a group. Number one, will the proposed action create a material conflict with an adopted land use plan or zoning regulations?
No.
No.
Will the proposed action result in a change in the use or intensity of the use of land?
No. Minimal.
Will the proposed action impair the character or quality of the existing community?
No.
No.
Will the proposed action have an impact on the environmental characteristics that cause the establishment of a critical environmental area, CEA?
No.
No.
Will the proposed action result in adverse change in existing level of traffic or affect existing infrastructure for mass transit, biking, or walkway?
Small.
Will the proposed action cause an increase in the use of energy and it fails to incorporate reasonable available energy conservation or renewable energy opportunities? Will the proposed action impact existing public or private water supplies, public or private wastewater treatment utilities?
No.
Will the proposed action impair the character or quality of important historic, archaeological, architectural, or aesthetic resources?
No.
Will the proposed action result in adverse change to natural resources? For example, wetlands, water bodies, groundwater, air quality, flora, and fauna?
No.
Will the proposed action result in an increase in the potential for erosion, flooding, or drainage problems?
Small.
Minimal.
Yeah.
Minimal.
Will the proposed action create a hazard to environmental resources or human health?
No.
Okay, with that, Madam Secretary, can you record that information and enter the seeker into the record?
And I would entertain a motion with everything being minimal, no impact or small impact for a negative declaration for seeker.
I'll second.
Arnie made a motion, second by Rich. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion carries. Okay, so I think,
Send it back, yeah.
okay. So
Can I mention one thing?
about the drawing?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Before I
that
give
I
it
want
away.
to talk about too.
You're showing that you're gonna add some pavement, and it looks like it's within the right of way for Homewood. It's a turn where the drive lane goes into the parking area.
Yeah, that little triangular piece there. Yeah.
That, I mean, that's not something we can approve. And I haven't seen this before, but I just noticed on the plans. So it's something that's gotta go through the town. Not, I mean,
Like a
higher up
variance?
than the plan, what?
Like a variance?
It would be considered a variance, but you can't build in the right of way.
Okay. So we can look into that.
I'll look at it later.
Yeah. Okay, so we have a lot of people here, I think, for our public hearing, so I don't want to delay it any longer, but, just so everybody knows, we will not be making a decision on this project tonight. We need to figure out what happened with the drawings, get our board drawings and get them up on the website so that everybody can review them as well. So the board, we may want to think about leaving the public hearing open so that the public has a chance to look at the drawings as well. After we hear from who's here this evening. And so Ed, we would need those in any updates you have by, Wednesday, obviously, for a deadline, if you wanna have that continue for the next meeting. Okay?
Yep.
All right, so Lisa, did you publish the notice? Yes. Okay, does anyone want to?
I'll make a motion to waive the reading of the notice.
I'll second it.
Okay, motion made by Rich, second by Judy, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Okay, motion carries to waive the reading of the public hearing notice. Okay, and I have a motion to open the public hearing.
I'll make the motion to open the public hearing.
Second.
Motion made by Aaron, second by Arnie. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, motion carries. The public hearing is open. So I know we have a bunch of people here to speak. And so I'll just start with the first row and we'll go back. If you're here to speak on 7147 East Genesee Street, and if everybody can kind of keep the information, like if you hear someone say the same thing, please try not to repeat things. Just present new information. And if you can try to keep it concise, in the interest of everyone's time. But please, if you would like to speak, come up to the podium, please tell us your name and where you live, and then you can have the opportunity to speak. So anyone in the first row? Okay. Second row for 7147. Okay, third row. Okay, come on up.
I am here speaking on behalf of my parents, Frank and Beverly Irwin. I'm their power of attorney. My father is in the hospital currently, unable to speak. My mother has dementia. They both live at home in this home. It is directly across the street. Their driveways are directly across the street from each other. They have lived there since 1955. I am the youngest of 5 children. I have lived there since 1966. I take care of them. I go there almost daily along with my daughter, healthcare workers, nurses, all sorts of different people coming in and out.
What is the address?
103 Homewood Drive.
Thank you.
First I have a question. Have the people moved in across the street already? Because yesterday I had a run-in with the people already because they parked at the end of my parents' driveway. I could not get in. A healthcare worker could not get in. I stopped to say, would you please move your car? They told me, too bad for you. No. Okay, that went really bad because my
I'm not sure.
parents.
Ed, do you know if people have moved in to the property? We don't.
There was 3 vehicles and I have pictures.
It's gonna be a mental health.
Yeah, if anyone, yeah, no one's living there.
There was lights on in the home all night, so I was there till after midnight.
What's upstairs?
They
Is
might
there
have
an
been-
apartment or
They
anything
might have been
upstairs?
doing.
Oh, right, okay.
So just to let you know, that started yesterday, before any of this is happening. I cannot pull my vehicle. I happen to own a big truck because I live on a farm. I cannot get out of the driveway. I have to take about 10 turns to try to get out without hitting them. I actually have hit a car that was parked in that driveway before because there is a hump at the end of the driveway. My truck happened to roll over it when I went to put it in gear. So we've had people parking there before. They do park at the end of that driveway because technically it is a 2-car driveway, not a 4-car driveway. Unless you can open the garage doors or knock the garage down. We have known every family to live in there since 1955. Never has it been a business. Just so you know, the dentist office is one down on Hunt, so.
Yeah,
Just so you
sorry.
know.
Too many.
Okay, so also, we're gonna go back to the flooding situation. We have terrible flooding there. We have terrible drainage there. My parents' basement has had 5 feet of water in 1974 flood. We just last year had 4 feet of water in the entire basement, their entire backyard, which flooded into the Weichert Realty next to us were also flooded, which goes and floods down our driveways. My parents' driveway is at an angle like this. This driveway is flat, straight across, goes down into a bowl. We used to call it the bowl. That had about 6 feet of water in it in the 74 flood. that is a huge problem. There is no drainage. They put a drainage, culvert, I'm not sure if I'm using the right term, but the thing with the hole and the, fills up with leaves, does not drain. We always had a huge mud puddle. Matter of fact, we used to play in the mud puddle. It's just, in front of our house. It sits there, and when it gets big enough, it goes over that bank that you're talking about with those bushes there and down into that area, to the west side of this driveway and garage. Coming around that corner, I have nearly been hit several times because I have to stop on East Genesee Street because people are either parked there, pulled over there, whatever they're doing there. Now, these people are parking at the end of my parents' driveway across the road and causing, you know, problems with, I can't even fit in between two cars if they're parked. I have called the police several times. They have not come. My father, when he was able to speak, called and asked for signs to be put up because he, unfortunately at 96 was still driving. So it made him very nervous. You can't, when I leave Homewood Drive to go left on East Genesee Street, I am over in that other lane. So nobody can turn onto Homewood Drive because my truck is there. I'm illegal because if I get hit, I'm on the other side of the road. Well, what am I supposed to do? I can't leave my parents' road. I have to drive around the block because a new business is coming in. I don't think it's, you know, this is a residential neighborhood, always has been. Now all of a sudden it's turning into, you know, a business that is gonna cause more trouble. I can see it now because the front door of the house, here's another problem with it. The front door of the house sits right as you turn the corner. So when you pull in the driveway, you're not anywhere near the front door of the house. I can see people pulling in there, pulling up, there's the front door, we're gonna park right here. So you're gonna turn into Homewood Drive and they're gonna be parking there. I know it. I know it's gonna happen. It's happening now and very concerned about safety, number one. What is this gonna do to the price of my parents' home? It's a very nice home. What is it doing to people that wanna drive down the road? I have many friends on that road that say, well, we now have to go around the block. We should not have to go around the block to leave your home. And unfortunately, my parents do, fortunately, because they go out at the light. There's a light up on McLennan Drive. I'm not gonna do that every time I leave my parents' house, and I shouldn't have to, as far as I'm concerned. And I can just see this becoming a big issue with that. I'm concerned extremely about the flooding because that still has not been taken care of. No one has come to put up no parking signs between here and corner, or I talked to the police station last week. They told me that you can park on that road daytime, but not overnight. Obviously businesses aren't gonna park overnight, so that's not gonna help us in the least. So I'm just kind of stating everything that my father wanted me to pass on to you. Basically, how dangerous the situation is at present, let alone what's going to happen in the future, adding more business. And especially I'm hearing, and I don't know if this is right, 2 psychiatrists or whatever, counselors and an apartment. So that right there is 3, including you're gonna have cars coming in and they're gonna be, it's gonna be a congestion zone. And that is a deep backyard. That is not drive straight into it. That goes into the driveway, down into a bowl, which had a huge oak tree in the middle, which was cut to the ground. So there's an oak tree down there and a fireplace. So I don't know if anyone knows about that in that backyard. Okay, and we used to play baseball back there, so, and swing on that huge tree. So that's there, and then the trees along the back edge, I know were trees that the boat rights who used to own the house behind their house said were very special trees. I don't know about that. I'm just speaking to what I've heard. So I'm concerned for those issues. That's okay.
Could you tell us your name?
My name is Julie Irwin Tamino. Tummino. I am the youngest of Bevan and Frank's children. I am their power of attorney and I am their executor.
I have one comment.
You're welcome.
It's my understanding there is no apartment. This is just,
There is no apartment.
just a mental health
Okay.
business. Just,
Okay.
Yeah.
It's,
That's
that's
correct,
why I asked.
Right.
No,
just for clarity, it's my
There-
understanding there's no resident.
Okay.
that's what I thought, yeah.
I'm just concerned because
No, there, let's clarify, yeah, Lisa, go ahead.
There is an apartment upstairs and that's where they are going to be living.
Pardon?
There is an apartment
The
upstairs
practitioners.
and that's where they're gonna be living.
I thought that was their offices. I didn't realize there was any residential
Yes.
use. Because I thought we
upstairs.
went through the accessory discussion.
That's why it's an accessory use.
Well, this zone does not require,
Yes, it does.
it
Yeah,
doesn't
that's
have
why
a
they're here.
limitation on square footage.
Yeah.
that's what it is.
That's the accessory
Accessory
use
use permit, because the mental health is an accessory to their home.
Their home, right?
This is an RM district.
Yeah.
Correct.
there was also a bus stop at the end of Homewood, on the corner of East Genesee Street. This house was originally back in the 50s, a Homewood address that they got changed to East Genesee Street. So it really sits on Homewood. When you're looking at it, you're driving in.
Yeah.
It's, basically across the street from my parents, a little diagonal with the house, the driveways. I just see a lot of traffic issues. There's already traffic issues there turning. You have to stop, people are, driving like maniacs, beeping at you, you barely get around the corner, then you have to stop again. Yesterday I had to stop 3 times. We had 3 healthcare workers that couldn't even park. So, it's just, I think a safety issue is my main concern here.
How many, I'm looking at the map, but your driveway.
Our driveway
itself
takes
fits how many cars?
4, and we have a 2-car garage. Their driveway is a 2-car, and I have pictures. Want to see what I've been going through? I did take pictures the past 2 days of what is happening. My
Sure.
brother came today to go to the hospital. He could not get out of the driveway without, turning, stopping. I wasn't there today. My daughter,
That's because of the car,
because of
the
parking.
vehicles in the other lot,
Yeah.
or like
Who should I
with
show?
other properties? Can I show the picture? Sure, I'm asking, is it vehicles that were with this
I
particular
don't know.
property, or just, you're saying in general?
Well, the ones yesterday were their vehicles, they were unloading stuff into the house, that's why I said, have they gotten the approval? I pulled over very nicely and said, would you mind moving your vehicle up a little, I can't back out. And this lady came after me and said, too bad for you, we're not moving anything. Well, I have a little bit bigger attitude than she does, so it's not gonna go pretty. I can tell you, I will call the police every single time I cannot get out of my parents' driveway. Yesterday, they were parked at the end on my parents' side and across the road. So if you can imagine, well, here's.
Okay.
Bring them up.
Yeah, you're good, yeah. Okay, Ed, could
This
you,
is my
Ed,
parents'
I know
driveway
there's no one here with the applicant, but can you clarify, just for the record, how many practitioners will be
Well,
working?
okay, this was yesterday. That's their
I
garden,
believe it's,
that's the
I
house.
believe
that's
it's
their-
1 or 2.
This is how.
It's
Okay,
on it's gotta be on there.
it's on their form, but yeah, just.
It says minimum 3, maximum 4 on that.
Yeah.
Well, they're gonna have a much bigger parking lot, all right? So
Yeah,
I'm pretty
they have
sure
no
this is
parking
gonna
lot
be-
right now.
I think they're probably moving in and moving things in and working on the building, and it's a congested area, and I know they're planning on having a parking lot in the back, so I see a significant amount of these things resolved.
Yeah, we're-
Do you want Jessica to chime in? She's
is
on.
she able to be,
She's on.
yeah, I mean, she might wanna,
She said that there was no confrontation with anyone yesterday that she's referring to.
okay.
So, for what that.
We can have her talk after, yeah, let's have her respond in general after we.
There.
Okay.
Okay,
And the
okay,
driveway, and at the very end of our driveway.
okay, well, she showed the pictures, is there anyone else here to speak on 7147 in the 3rd row? Anyone else in the 3rd row? Okay, 4th row? Okay. You guys wanna see?
So my name is Scott Hill.
Can you wait until
Oh,
they're done?
Until Sean
Because they
Hill's
won't be able
over.
to hear you.
Oh, you can hear me.
Not appropriate.
Then there's a car on this side that left. My daughter's left, and she's over because of the. And then they park on this side of the road, over it.
Yeah, the parents that, we see a lot of these things off the parking lot.
Yeah.
So
We have
some more
several front
space
doors.
and,
Several
after
front
when
doors.
they're done doing their work and moving in, yeah, okay. Thank you.
So keep in mind, this is a residential home right now. What's in front of you.
Yeah.
Is the review is an accessory.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah.
All right, my name is Scott Hill. I live at 105 Homewood Drive, which is just kitty corner from that property.
Next door to those people.
Right next door to the Irwins, yes.
Okay.
We've been there for 23 years. So first question is, has this been approved for a multi-use property?
No,
And
not
this-
yet.
Not,
It's in the zone, but it hasn't, this particular property has not been approved
It has
for
not
the
been
use,
approved
for the use, yeah.
and then you said the accessory use means that the people that will be the therapists working in the office will actually be living in the apartment?
That's my
Yeah, that's our
understanding.
understanding.
They're not moving in.
They are not moving in.
She just left me a message that said they're not moving in.
So that,
They're not.
that violates accessory.
We're talking, we're discussing the future condition, not like what's happening today.
Does she plan on living there in the future? That was my understanding. Anyway,
The zoning
So-
doesn't require owner occupancy.
Yeah, I think it would change accessory use.
Yeah.
Doug
I
or,
believe that you have to live there.
Nobody's not.
all right, let's have you continue.
Okay. A couple of questions and observations as we've lived there, the drainage. For the last couple of years, when it was a residential place, I mowed the lawn down in the bowl. And there were very few times in the summertime it was ever dry. And so I don't know what you're gonna do for drainage. You're gonna fix the drainage and it's just gonna go down the hill. We've lived there for the years that the Irwins have been flooded, Wycots have been flooded, and you can go up the road. That's been a lifelong documented flood. As soon as you fix the parking lot there, it's gonna go down to the next business, and it's gonna go down to the house that's down there. And so I'm not sure there is a fix for the drainage, because that part of the road of Homewood, when it rains, it does become a lake. Because even though there's drainage on the road, it's still a lake. And so that will be a constant, problem there. Another one is the parking. Our kids are now grown, but our biggest fear, when our kids were little, people would come around that corner off of Genesee on Homewood, and they'd probably be 35 miles an hour by the time they get to our house. Now, the concern isn't their speed, because they can't go that fast, it's they're distracted because they don't want to hit the cars that are parked there. And so there still is a safety distraction with that increased traffic. We've seen the increase when Wycott came in, this will just congest it a little bit more. Granted, my kids are now older, but I know future generations, that is concerning for kids in that street. That's always been our concern. The increase in traffic, not necessarily. The concern is people come into this business, they're not familiar with the area. We've heard about the crimes that have increased in our community because of the neighborhood, and that just brings more people funneling into our neighborhood. And so there is a cause of concern for increase of crime as new people get introduced into our neighborhood. I was here last month when they were talking about the initial plan about lighting the parking lot. And it was recommended that they were gonna maybe put a light on the garage that's shown down into the parking lot. I do have a concern about the type of lighting being used, because then that will shine right into the front room of my house. In the wintertime. Summertime, the trees will block that light. But the lighting is a concern on how do you light that parking lot if it does go through without affecting the properties around, because at nighttime, I like to have it a little darker. And that's really all my concerns concerning this movement of this property. It's been a residential, but having it moved to a multi-use. If the driveway were coming off of Genesee, I could see that would be a thing, but since the driveway is coming in off of Homewood, it's in a residential neighborhood, and that is concerned to change that to a multi-use.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else here to speak on 7147?
Chris Palmer, Thompson Street, Fayetteville, and Wagner Realtors. Two issues that I have is if there's an apartment upstairs that requires 2 parking spaces and we have a total of 5, how's it gonna be enough parking for the business?
Could you speak up a little, please?
Sure,
Thank you.
I'm concerned about the parking. If there's an apartment that requires 2 parking spaces, we only have 5 total. So, I'm concerned about the amount of parking that's gonna be necessary and not available. And my other concern is the density. It is, if they put that parking lot in, it's gonna increase the density far above the permissible 50%.
The lot coverage? you
Density includes parking spaces and,
Yeah, I calculated 42.9%.
by the time you convert that into a parking lot?
Yeah.
Well, I'll have to do the math.
State your name one more time.
Chris Palmer.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
So I have a quick question. Are they gonna park in the garage at all?
Yes.
So that could
She
be
just
one
specifically
parking
said that
space
there's two parking stalls.
in the garage?
Yeah.
So could that provide their parking in their parking in the parking lot?
Yeah, and Bill, I gotta
Yeah,
clarify
I think
something.
she said that like a while back too. Yeah. go ahead.
So they're not living there. I think she got my question, are they living there? They're not living there right now. But it looks like the plan, when they get the business up and running, is to reside in the upper portion.
Okay.
So that might answer the question on the accessory.
That
use
clears that up, yeah, thank you.
And use the garage.
Yes. And they would use the garage, okay.
Leaving 5 spaces for the, business.
Yes.
Can I ask another question? I couldn't hear what you said about the parking garage. Is it staying?
Oh, the garage is staying and the owners are gonna be parking there.
Is it gonna be fixed? Because
In
it's
the
not a
garage.
working parking garage right now.
Right.
I guess that's there.
That's, yeah, the,
Okay, it is a crumbled mess that if doors don't open.
Okay, but that's
they'll-
their
they'll-
problem.
yeah, they'll have to figure that out if they're gonna park in there. For sure.
Okay, so that's
Yeah.
gonna have to be fixed, because right now I would not consider that a working parking garage.
Thank you.
Okay. Is there anyone else to speak? For 7147? Okay, and Lisa, do we have anyone online?
Jessica.
Okay, if Jessica would like to respond to some of the questions, if they haven't been answered already.
Hello?
Jessica, can you hear us?
Yes, I don't know if I'm supposed to have my camera on or anything, but yes, I can hear you.
No, that's fine, go ahead. Do you have any, questions that people have had or that we've had have been answered through you, through Ed, by you?
Yeah, definitely. Not necessarily questions, comments to make. We have not moved in yet or anything. We've only been there yesterday. We were there for a couple hours, just doing some things at the business until 5 o'clock. But no, we have not moved in until everything's approved and everything gets going. The other thing I wanted to address is just to remind everyone, this entire meeting, the whole purpose is to get a parking lot. So we're trying to, minimize any street parking. We don't need street parking. That's not our intention.
Okay. Okay.
Trying to think of some other points that were made.
Yeah, I have a couple questions for.
Yeah, if you
Ed.
guys have questions for me, I can answer. But yeah, I just wanted to, kind of speak for myself on that notion, just because this has been a year and a half of trying to just get a parking lot approved.
Right, okay. I don't think the board members have any other questions for you, but someone mentioned, it was one of the neighbors mentioned lighting, but Ed, I don't think can you just speak to lighting really quickly on the property?
Yeah, so right now there's just building mounted wall packs. what I can, I don't know if you want me to address them specifically, but to the board, there is not any lights affixed on the north side of that garage facing into the parking lot. That is something that Doug brought up to me at some point that I will have to address, and how to handle that. Whatever fixture we would propose would be would be a full cutoff fixture,
Okay,
night sky compliant.
Yeah.
Full cutoff,
okay,
so.
okay.
Yeah, and I do want to chime in one more comment too. I know that there was someone concerned about our parking on the street, and then I don't know, someone that was not me. I just want to clarify that had nothing to do. I don't know. I know there's a lot of people that park on the street from the realty company. We have not been there because right now we reside out of town, so we have not been there doing any of the moving and parking. So I just do want to clarify that is not us.
Okay, okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Before we,
We're just kind of curious, how many patients per day do you think, because we're talking about traffic, if you're saying you only need a couple of how many, you have 2 clinicians, 3 clinicians?
It would be one per clinician every hour or so. It's not going to be like an influx of just like walk-in people. It's by appointment only.
yeah,
And what kind of hours are we talking about? Because we have some therapist friends that have really different hours where you've got.
Yeah, typically it's a 9 to 5. I think I had said that in the very, very initial meeting, all the hours, 9 to 5, Monday through Friday. Occasionally, maybe there could be a Saturday here and there, but,
okay.
9 to 5 is.
I'm looking at the original application, Jessica, and it says 8 to 7, so I just want to clarify, would it be 9 to 5 or?
I mean, to cover myself, just because I haven't even opened yet, I would say 9 to 5 initially, and if people's need was until 7, fine. But if that's something I need to get approved and set in stone right now, I'm willing to do that.
Okay. Just curious, just to answer the question.
Yeah, just because it's a by appointment only, and we kind of have to get up and running to even get a caseload of people. So it's hard to say. I'm a full-time therapist right now in Binghamton, and I am strictly 10 till 5. So if that gives you clarity.
Okay, all right, great, thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, all right, I think that's it. Is there anyone else online to speak, Lisa?
No.
Okay, I think that we're good to close the public hearing. Oh, one more question.
So just back up a little on the lighting. You mentioned with the lighting, if it's installed in the rear part of the lot or the parking, maybe built, be designed so it does not lead on the neighboring properties.
Right,
Okay.
Yeah,
I
so-
wanna know.
yeah, there will be no
It's one of the most
spillage.
irritating things about some projects. So
Yeah.
I think our
particularly in this
code
kind of
is,
neighborhood.
I think our code is 0 foot candles at the property line.
Correct.
Okay,
I just want to very,
clarify it.
I think it's a
I
very
had to modify the
rational
previous
expectation of any
application
neighbor.
software.
They do not get, you do light if they don't want.
Right.
Okay. All right, I'll take a motion to close the public. Oh, yes, you wanted.
Could you not close it because you said you're gonna let us see the drawings?
Oh, right. Does anyone, let's discuss that as a board. Okay.
Yeah, I think it's open.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, so we're gonna keep it open. We're not sure what happened with the drawings. So we wanna get the drawings. I know it's just the parking lot basically. We wanna get the drawings and the stormwater report that you're working on, and so the public can see everything as well. So we'll leave it open. If you can't, get it in for next meeting, we'll have to put it on the following meeting, that we have it, the public hearing continued, okay?
Yep.
Okay. So we will leave it open, and see where we're at here. Where's my stuff? And I think we're all set with our, comments and questions for the board. Okay. So that's it for tonight. And we'll wait to hear from you and get everybody get the drawings. Okay? All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank Thank you, everybody, for coming. Okay. All right, so we need, if you're not here for the next items on the agenda, we need you to please take it outside. Thank you.
So
Okay,
I would like to ask about the possibility that Doug brought up about traffic study on Route 5, because is
yeah,
that,
I'm gonna bring it up with Tom.
is that what I think, I know it's been bothering me, the stuff we've been seeing. We've had Batar, we've had the dentist repurposing and this one. And then just looking at the aerial photo while we were listening to the public hearing, you know, and I drive that road, it's getting uncomfortable. And I think that whatever we need to do to take steps to give us a good footing to make decisions from would be helpful. Okay, so I didn't realize we could do that. I mean, we have, I think Batar did one and they're here and there, but I don't have any experience with DOT doing that stuff at a request, so that would be amazing.
Doug has a lot with DOT, and so does Jamie, but we can ask them to do whatever we want to ask them. And they may just decide, nah, we're not gonna do anything. Like reducing the speed limit, for example.
Well, not even just what the recommendations would be, but these have been done all along through here. They must have done one recently for that stormwater project. Like, they know what's going on. Like, how can
Yeah,
that be translated
they
to
are
help
doing-
us do a better job?
I mean, it's
Is
been
that possible?
messier than normal completely, but.
I think Rich hit the nail on the head, right? I mean, over the years, Rich and I have been involved with numerous recommendations to the New York State DOT. And sometimes they come back and say yes, and sometimes they say, thank you for asking, but no, right?
I mean,
So I think Valerie's spot on to, you know, talk to the supervisor.
Yeah.
Okay,
Right?
Yeah, I've got a few things on my list, so.
good, thank you.
And pass that along. I'm sure they'll.
I know that and I'm trying to think of the name of the subdivision, the very first one on the right-hand side as you're going towards Homewood. Something Manor, is it?
Manor.
Manor.
Yeah.
I mean, there's no getting out of that place other than
Mhm.
coming
Yes,
onto Route
it's
5.
just the one.
And I hear complaints about that all the time. At least in the Homewood subdivision, you can go cross streets and get the traffic
Yeah.
light to get out.
There's 5.
Right.
But anyway, the state will do what they want.
Yeah,
They'll tell us what to do.
yeah, okay. Cause I mean, they're not wrong with the RM zone and change, so there are a lot more businesses and all that stuff.
But that is all zoned RM and they have a right to have
They do,
certain
Yeah.
businesses in that zone.
yeah, which affects traffic, so,
Well,
Okay.
the DOT does it, we would have done our job of bringing it up.
Yeah, I mean, I have no problem if we talk to our town board and have them do something with the state, or we try to do something with the state.
yeah.
Nothing wrong with that.
That's a
Well, I think
nature
this
thought.
particular property is just like, you know, it's one property, but it sounds like the issues are far beyond this one
Yes.
property. So besides the traffic study, I'm also gonna just ask them about Homewood in general.
Yeah.
About parking on the street, about possible signage, whatever, and then also the flooding and drainage in that area, so
I
those
guess-
are all on my list. So, okay. All right, now that everybody's back, our next item on the agenda is, for Shawshank Bot. This is for a continuation of public hearing, for site plan for just lot 4B for building 3-4, for 7 Pines at 8104 Route 92, Manlius, New York. The tax map is number 112.02-2.7. So I'm asking if anyone on behalf of the applicant is present in the meeting, in person or online?
I have Brian Benz online.
Okay, can he move to speaker?
Hi, good evening. Can you guys hear me okay?
We can hear you, we can't see you, but I guess let's get your pictures. Okay.
All right, guys. Thank you all so much for the time. Thank you to Doug Miller and Lisa Beamer especially. We've gone through multiple iterations of the site plans and we've worked through this, for many months. So I appreciate the team's understanding and patience, as we went through these different iterations. This is a project we've presented to this board, I think twice, as well as over at the town board. One we've been working on for quite a while, and I think we're nearly there, subject to this board's approval. Just as a quick recap, the project is to introduce residential to building 3-4 at the Seven Pines former business park. This board had previously approved a mixed use on 2 of the buildings already for 6 units. And this would allow us to add 7 additional units to the property in building 3-4. I'll say that our time at the town board, we did receive unanimous approval from the town board on June 12th of last year. One of the conditions upon their approval was we negotiated and worked closely with the neighbors, both on the original review as well as this additional review for building 3-4. We installed fences, shrubberies, all of those items were added to the site plan. And one of the items that came out of the town board was a negotiated deed restriction on the property. So when the board made the recommendation for the approval on the 12th, subsequent to that, we did go through and file those deed restrictions on the property. And again, the application is a zoning change to transfer from zone RA to RM. So those deed restrictions then just simply itemized what the permitted uses were going to be from a commercial perspective. And that deed restriction was approved and filed on November 7th of this past year as well. With that said, I believe we're ready for hopefully final site plan approval, subject to this board's feedback, questions, and all that. There is ample parking for the mixed use. 20 parking spaces are required. We do have the 24. But aside from that, I'll certainly answer any questions and take any feedback.
Jamie, have you seen the deed restrictions that you mentioned were?
I did see them. I haven't seen it recorded, but I'll double check on that.
And you were satisfied? I'm not
Yeah.
even sure what
Oh,
the deed
yeah.
restrictions were.
It restricts some of the uses that are allowed there.
So there's some uses in the RM
That are not allowed
that
here.
are not allowed here.
Yes.
You probably know what I'm gonna say, but I'll save it. Are all, and I apologize for asking stupid questions, but are all 24 parking spaces that you mentioned on this lot?
Yes, they are. Yeah, we did an independent parking study per lot, and all 24 are dedicated within the zoning lot.
Okay. And some of the things, and I think I saw it on the screen earlier, the dumpsters that are on the lot next to this, when we approved the site plan, it was supposed to be enclosed. And as of probably a couple days ago when I drove by, they are not enclosed and they're not in the right location, if I'm not mistaken, of what we approved. What's the plan of those?
The relocation of the dumpsters, it's actually part of this project here. So and that was something that was negotiated with the neighbors behind the property. They had advised that when the trucks came to pick up the dumpsters, they were fairly loud. And so we said, all right, well, we'll move them as far away from the neighbors as possible. And so as part of this whole site plan, I believe drawing A.002 shows the enclosure of the dumpsters. But the dumpsters will be relocated as part of this project to the center of the property and then enclosed as part of that construction.
Okay, and I noticed a green recycle bin, garbage can, that were next to the dumpsters. Is that something that's gonna go into the enclosure also?
Yeah, exactly. The enclosure allows for 2 bins, 1 garbage, 1 recycling.
Do we have that
Okay, this was a green recycle bin that most homeowners have.
The last meeting, they were gonna some changes and fix a bunch of stuff. and haven't-
Yeah, that'll all go away as part of this.
Okay.
Well, a couple of years ago. Yeah, but. What, is this?
Ryan, when you say A202 for the dumpster enclosure, what drawings are you sharing your screen?
Not really.
That's you, Lisa? Yeah.
I'm sorry, it's L002, the site detail.
Oh, okay.
I have drawings.
Yeah, it just shows the dumpster details of that gate, that's all.
Well, there's a keynote.
Yeah, well, again, Brian, we had talked about the drawings and we had asked for some better visual, more legible drawings, or larger, but we received larger, but they're in black and white and very hard to still see anything. So we're looking at L001 and there are questions about the dumpster location. And I don't know if you had a chance to review the last meeting where we did have the public hearing. And there were questions about the dumpster location.
Apologies, I haven't seen those meeting minutes. Anything that I can address or answer here?
Well, we're still in the public hearing, so we can have the resident come up and speak if he feels fine with that. Okay, go ahead, because he hasn't watched the meeting. They are online to be able to.
Hey Ryan, it's Trevor. I used to work with
Right.
Ryan. Trevor Edkin, 4674 Whetstone Road. I did speak to the board a month ago. And at that time, just so everybody's aware, and I was gonna make this comment either way. I received an email from Roseanne Orpus, who's my neighbor, and she was also on Whetstone Road. The plans that are being presented today were not ever available online. So the residents to come here for the public hearing don't have the benefit of, I spoke for probably exhausting period of time, a month ago. I'm not gonna do it again, I promise. But it was only because I didn't ever have a chance to see the drawings. Ryan is 100% correct. A conversation that the folks that he represents, myself and members of the town board, including the township engineer, the township attorney, talked about the deed restriction, and also talked about the location of the dumpsters. Had that been made available to the public prior to the public hearing, I think it would have saved us some time.
Okay.
But yes, the drawing that is there does address, it's not, Ryan, to be candid, it's not as far away as I had hoped to see, but something better than what we currently have, right? So we're thinking about situations, I appreciate that.
Yeah,
Trevor, thank you.
Thank you. What is the dumpster serving? And I'm looking at Octagon 8 on drawing L001, correct?
Yeah, that's right. That's right. The dumpsters serve all of all four properties there, all four buildings.
We're gonna need we'll need an easement agreement.
As per the attorney, we will need an easement agreement for the dumpster for all
Yeah.
four properties.
That makes sense, and I was hoping to have that in place for tonight. I know that Jim Messenger, counsel for the applicant, is working with Joe Ferteschi on that. And so, subject to this board's opinion and approval, I would simply ask that would be a condition, certainly of the building permit, but I'll say that would be an imminent, the easements will be filed imminently regardless.
Okay, we'll look into that. Our attorney for the planning board, Jamie Sutton, will look into
The progress of that.
Yep.
What's going
Yep.
on with it.
Okay.
Because it's actually, it's a site plan requirement, but I also understand maybe it is part of their, deal on the zone change.
Okay, yeah. All right, so.
Can I do one other request?
Yes, because then we'll,
Yes, perfect.
yeah.
So, Ryan, one of the things that my neighbors had asked me to come here and ask about was the timing of the fence. The neighbors would like if, and I don't know if there's a stipulation in the permits, but if we could put the fence up before the construction commences, right? They haven't started on any of these four buildings yet, but the fence were up first, it would certainly be to the benefit of the neighborhood.
Yeah. No, Trevor, it's a fair question, subject to permits, but I'll tell you that we would have no issue constructing that first subject to permits being issued. that's certainly something that we can do.
So, thank you. Here's where I'm at with this.
Wait a minute, 1 second, because I want to make sure, see if there's anyone else on who can go to the public hearing. Okay, is there anyone else here to speak on behalf of Seven Pines?
Sorry, I still have a question from the standpoint of the tenants. The tenants get their trash and recyclables to the common dumpster.
Right on their hood.
No, too.
You put it on their hood. Or they walk.
Yeah. Okay. So, okay. All right.
Walk is the right answer.
They walk or drive them, depending on where they are located. Okay, would there be no one else to speak, I entertain a motion to close the public hearing.
So moved.
Okay, motion made by Rich, second by Don, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion carries, the public hearing is closed. Okay, so Ryan, I think there's some things that still need to be figured out, with the easements and, we are not in a position to make an approval tonight. I mean, I don't know how everybody else feels. Is everybody satisfied with these drawings to be able to move forward? Or Rich, you look like you want to say something.
No, I'm not sure I'm okay with this. Say.
Okay. With drawings?
Yeah, I thought that a fence was constructed over here, or maybe it's over here.
It's over here. He's got it, this
And we're-
circles.
All the way down.
Mhm.
Okay.
I just, I mean, I agree with Valerie. I think just, between now and the next meeting, just to make sure we have whatever conditions we want, that we're looking at, that we can refer to the right drawings and have a resolution that is comprehensive.
So,
Okay, Aaron, you did one.
right, so there's a lot of confusion with drawings and what's happening and the applicant being here and continuation of public hearing. So at the head of the last meeting, we received these drawings, which we've all been looking at.
Yes.
And at the last meeting, the board made comments. I have my notes from those comments. We heard the public for the public hearing, and but the applicant was not here, if I'm correct.
Right.
And so we were looking, and of course, we can all go back and look at the video, but we were looking for these things to be addressed by the applicant, and then the applicant to provide a response in the form of a drawing that we could review. I mean, there were some like, I had comments, the numbers didn't add up on the bedrooms, and there were questions about lighting and the dumpsters and other things, and so we haven't received any of that yet. And while I think we can, in my opinion, close the public hearing, we need to circle back and have the applicant then provide us some drawings and documents that include all the things that we discussed at the last meeting tonight, and whatever Lisa comes up with from the legal aspect.
Yeah, I don't know, Ryan, if you have seen the drawings that you submitted, and if you've seen, with this black, there we go.
Yeah, no, that's visible. That's visible. And I was optimistic we would move forward, but tonight, but candidly, your comments don't surprise me. They're appreciated, and we'll take them back. The easements, I want to get those drafted, make sure that those are recorded for everybody. And then the drawings, this is something that Doug and I have spoken about. We'll make sure those are reprinted in color. And let me go back and take a look at it if there's any additional comments that we need to capture from the last meeting as well. Any additional comments around lighting or anything else that we might have missed?
Yeah, I think the dumpster location has been
Address.
addressed.
Yeah.
It would actually be preferable if you did not put the aerial photo behind the drawing. That's not, if you wanna see how the drawing should be set up, that's in our code.
I will speak with the architects to see if they can turn that layer off. You know, it might be above my pay grade, but the message is received. Let me go back and see what we can do to make it clear.
Okay,
And
yeah, I would just tighten up the parking numbers and I would just look those over again and
Yeah.
make sure. Completely
Like I said,
accurate.
Lisa and Doug were more than patient through the different iterations. So let me put a bow on it and I'll be back in touch with you.
Okay, David?
yeah, so we mentioned in the last meeting, I know Aaron wasn't here, but we were looking at, maybe checklist and to-do items for each one, how we're gonna be doing them from now on. However, I think that it behooves us to say to every applicant from now on, please, make your drawings complete, the set, when you submit it, complete, with the revisions indicated on them and the latest date on the bottom of each one, complete. So we are not confusing what we're looking at.
Yeah.
And that way you will have the addressing in those drawings, the action items that we asked you to address, and the revision will indicate that at the bottom of each drawing. That way we won't have any questions. It's just a general comment, so that
Okay.
everybody will hear it from.
I
might
make
have to
it
repeat it.
regularly
Yeah.
too. I mean, it's section 155-28.
I appreciate the board's time here tonight. Let me work on the updated drawings and I'll chat with Lisa in terms of what additional application materials might be required along with that. But thank you to the board.
Okay, thank you, thank you, thank you. Okay. All right. The next item on our agenda is Woodland Hills subdivision. This is on 5280 Home Lane, Fayetteville, New York, for discussion and tax map number 104.01-39.2.
Okay.
Chris, would you like to give us an update as where you guys are?
So where we are, where we left off, I guess is where, when we last met with you, there was a discussion about an HOA and creating a drainage district. That was part of the conversation. And also, we were discussing just revising the plans and proceeding forward. So since then, we've had discussions with the town. And because the drainage district requires the town board's involvement, we've had discussions, I would interpret them as positive. So we believe that we're proceeding forward with a drainage district rather than an HOA. We believe it's the best way. I mean, that was the discussion we were having last time before when we were before this board. We believe that the town board is in agreement, or not the board itself, but the concept. And I think it's proceeding along with the town board. So as to that, we've also submitted comprehensive plans, which you guys have. Yeah, and we understand you haven't had them that long, so it might take some time to digest. So we've tried to address the town's or the engineers' issues or concerns or statements about the previous plans and try to address everything for this board, understanding that this board needs probably some time to digest it, as well as the engineer for the town. But we were just trying to get a timeline and see what we need to do, answer any questions, provide any feedback that this board may have questions about, and then hopefully keep progressing forward so we can get this project approved, or at least a public hearing set. That would be our goal tonight, to get a public hearing and timetable for this project.
Similar to accepting roadways into the town system, that we have a chance to inspect the construction of drainage ways, the basins and so on and so forth, prior to the drainage district being accepted or approved or whatever the terminology is.
Yes. Yeah.
And I,
Could be public infrastructure that would be deeded over to the town. So one of the conditions would be that, you know, the town would want to take periodic inspections and make sure they're getting what's.
well, all of it won't be deeded over to the town. We would have to get some easements on drainage ways. The basins would be deeded, that land would be.
What was previously conceived to be an HOA lot is the lot that will ultimately be deeded to the town. I think you're right, Rich. There will be easements between the lots in the rear of lots for drainage. I think 11, 10, 9, 8, 6, 5, 4, 3, and 1 have drainage easements along the rear. And then we're gonna have storm and access easements between 7 and 6 and 5 and 4. And then a sanitary easement through the 4 lots in the middle.
At the conclusion of construction, after your monthly inspections throughout construction, there'll be an as-built drawing where a surveyor will locate where the pipes are, where the rims, the inverts, the capacity, the contours of the detention basin. And that will get printed out and we'll review it with our contractor before we resubmit it to Doug for final consideration. So what's on those plans will be checked against a built survey. So that's a design, that's a survey of what's going to be. There'll be an as-built showing everything that we built.
You know, as I say, I'm just one vote, but I am opposed to forming a district. I would rather see this, and I know other people have other ideas. I personally would rather see this maintained by the HOA, because I can see some real headaches in the future when somebody decides to build a shed or to put a fence up or whatever, and they'd like to fill in the drainage way. So they go ahead and do it because it's on their property. And now we have to police it, and somebody has to inspect it and make sure they're not doing that. And I would rather the HOA be responsible for it, and we get an easement to maintain things if we have to, and not take on the total responsibility. But I'm probably in the minority, but.
Which, if there's an HOA, it's not the police, that the HOA is doing what they need to do. I mean, the police.
Yeah, and I think we're pretty far. Doug, could you update us? If you have an update on where we are with that process? Because, again, we talked about it, Rich, the number of properties here and the way HOAs have worked in the town in the past is just not practical to think these properties would form, these small number of properties would form a working, productive HOA to do this, whereas we've worked out an area that the town will own, and therefore the town will be responsible from the beginning and not have to work through the HOA. And I think it will benefit everyone in the area that the town is.
Of course, not responsible for the cost. Property would be built back for the work within this.
Right. Right, but they'd be paying HOA dues, which may or may not get paid. So.
Yeah, we don't want to police the HOA.
Yeah.
So drainage district goes on the taxes.
It will for the district.
For the
that
district.
It impacts.
Yeah.
But this seemed, there's an adjacent, I mean, this is an extension of the district. It's not the creation of a new district.
Yeah.
Which one is gonna go in?
District 2?
Two rings of Alba.
I think that's problem number 2 for me. It's an extension, not a creation. I'd rather be a drainage district for this property as opposed to adding it to District 2 or whatever it is, because now you've got some people that really have no drainage problems or existing in Drainage District 2, they're gonna be paying for this. But that's just, like I said, I'm one vote, it's just the way I look at it, and the HOA, if it's formed, Jamie, correct me if I'm wrong, it would be filed with the New York State Department of State with a notice address. And if they aren't doing what they're supposed to do, we send out a notice.
Yeah, it would be filed. I do think, and I'm hearing you, but I believe the town board is already in favor of the drainage district. So I think we should probably look at this project and look at that. It's not us right now. I know.
It bothers me though.
Yep.
It bothers me, and I can see people filling in these drainage districts,
I
then
think they do
flooding
anyway.
happening and fences go up and now the easement is a problem. Well,
I live in an HOA, people fill in the swales all the time with rocks and stuff.
see, and that's,
It's not being.
and the HOA should step up and do something about it.
Well, and that, you know, when you have a small, it's a balancing, you have a small number of lots.
Yep.
And the fees, I mean, it's about continuing to do what it's intended to do, and the best way to get there is probably the drainage district, because of the minimal number of lots we have with this.
Why
I
can't
don't
we
see
have
how
our
you
own
have
drainage
neighbors,
district?
neighbors.
So I believe, Chris or Scott, you could add this, but I believe that the last thing I saw was Scott's group was working on a map plan and report. And part of what they need to do is they need to make the determination of what the cost would be. So they were coordinating with the town to get information to look and see what impact this has if it is an extension of District 2. It could actually take the cost of District 2 down or up. But to Chris's point, the minimum amount of properties that you have in here, there's probably negligible impact to District 2 extension. But we're waiting to see that, and I think that's what Scott's group was trying to get that information from the town. What current cost impacts in districts.
It sounds like I'm too late to make the argument. It sounds like the town board's already had with mind what they're gonna do with this, so I'll be quiet.
Well, I'm glad you brought that up, because I was gonna bring up something similar and wanting to understand how it works, because I had the opportunity to talk to the highway superintendent about this stuff. I was talking to him about something else, and this project came up, and I got to hear his point of view and perspective on what it's like to have to do the maintenance on a lot of these things, because a lot of times the town ends up doing that. And he doesn't have the capacity to necessarily take on more work.
So it doesn't
understand.
mean, this does not mean that the town takes on the cost.
Yeah.
What this means is we will look, right, over the years, the business manager and I have looked at all 3 districts on a continuing basis. And we have looked and we have seen what capital improvements we need to do in these districts, where the costs go. If they go up, they go down, depending on what type of projects we have in there. And we also, traditionally, the highway department has done a lot of the work. But what we need to look at when we get the map plan report is that a fair assessment of what the cost would be? Because the town can go out and contract for this work. And they often have in the past, right? And the other thing that we've told the highway superintendent is when he does, if and when he does work in that district, he should do it underneath a force account work, right? And track it, right? Using something, some type of a software, could be as simple as a spreadsheet, could be as complex as like Optimal or something else, where you get work orders and you track everything to a certain degree. So, we have HOAs, we have commercial properties, we have existing districts. So this isn't anything foreign to the town, right? It's something a little bit different from what we've done over the last couple decades, but it's certainly doable and it's certainly feasible. And with the proper plan, which I'm sure Scott's gonna put together, we'll take a look at that and we'll move forward and see what's going on. The other thing we talked about is when that land is deeded over to the town, some of that property now becomes town property. And some of the residents in the area have voiced a concern about having screening there. So that screening instead of being part of the HOA, becomes part of the town property. And town fathers have made a commitment to say they know that people want to look at the screening and make sure it's properly maintained. And that will be part of what goes on in that district, and that's part of what we will be looking at in that map plan report.
Okay, I mean, I'm just giving you my thoughts on it, and I always think whenever we take on property, especially detention basins that potentially could have standing water in it, we're taking on the liability. That's our land, and we got water in a pond, and kids see it, and they wanna go swim. Whatever.
Maybe this discussion of, this could be an extension of the District 2. I was puzzled on drawing L301, where there are 3 catch basin rehabilitations out on Old Howdy Mill Road, which is a mile away. Is that, how did that come into this project? Because is that water, is that in District 2, Old Howdy Mill Road?
Which one can you refer to? Show me that.
Here we are, Howdy Mill Road.
I was talking about the DI&I for the sanitary improvements. That's something wrong. A little
So
bit
that's
different.
sanitary.
Yeah, it says
Okay.
sanitary improvement.
That's what's required by law.
Is that something WEP says?
They tell us exactly where to do it.
Okay.
Part of the approval is that we fix part of their system
As a condition.
as a condition.
Fair
Instead
enough.
of,
It's, speaking, while we're still in the drainage district, sort of, is that reflected in the drawings yet, or are you waiting until?
it's not gonna be in the drawing, it's a planner report, I think, the.
Well, I just meant like the lines. I didn't see any difference in
Which lines are you referring to?
The drainage
the drainage district line, like
Oh, there.
border line. You know, from like, so like what's Woodland Hills and what would be
That's in there.
No, the lots,
That,
the lots are going to be.
that HOA lot, that was formerly the HOA lot will be a town.
Okay, so I know there was some discussion about altering.
The property line has
triangle
been altered.
I think
That-
that's
that
an
is
easy.
lot 17. Oh, that lot 17 was a detention basin.
Right, no, she's talking
Sorry, can you
along
show
the
me?
rear of the lots, you're talking along
This
the
one,
rear?
yeah, like down on
Those
the
little
south
strips and
end.
those-
Yeah, but those are easements.
That what you decided?
Yes,
That's what they're showing us.
yes, that's what
Yeah,
we,
yeah.
Well,
that's
that
what
was one of the things that was
we talked,
talked about.
yeah, and I thought, that was our understanding. was
That they were gonna be easements, or that they were going to be dug,
I thought Doug, we could,
were they going to
that
be
last
part of the district?
discussion we had.
We do the
I
line.
thought we talked that it was gonna be, part of those areas were gonna be deeded to the town.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Part
we
of the
had talked about
district?
the district, being part of the district, not just easements.
The ones that cut through the property lines, on the side property lines?
No.
No, down the.
You're talking
on the
like
south
behind
end
6,
and-
7, 5, 4, 3.
Well, come and look.
Yeah,
It's,
so that we've got 17, but it would be
Yes.
this area here, it would have, it was kind of highlighted at one point.
Yeah.
And cut, yeah, you were here.
Oh, you went to cut off that little piece and make it part of the basin property.
Oh, yeah,
I
oh,
thought they
that,
ended up
yes,
This year.
yes,
Above
yes.
the massive
Remember that?
property.
I thought you couldn't do that.
I thought you meant all the lots.
No, just.
Yes, we
just
did
like
talk
a
about that.
delineation of
Yes.
how
Little
it's
piece
divided,
over
yeah.
here too.
Yes,
Yeah, we
yes,
talked about that.
It's that sliver.
yes,
Yeah.
I
yes.
thought there was a reason you couldn't, and it had to do with, square footages of lots or something.
No, we're talking about,
Down here, two different things.
no,
we
we,
were talking
It's just
about
a
the same
sliver on
thing.
lot 9.
we're okay with,
the square footages we figured out are okay.
I think it just got mixed, right?
yes,
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah,
Yeah,
did,
sorry.
no, it did.
Is
get-
it lot
I
8
thought you meant the whole way.
No,
is it lot 8 primarily?
That's what we discussed, you're correct.
yeah, the bottom of lot 8.
Right, so that's
It's a-
29,000, that would probably leave it still
After the
close.
meeting, show it.
Take that out.
With-
We'll just mark it before we leave. Yes,
Okay, yeah,
9
We missed it.
okay, all right, thank
Yes,
you.
sorry.
No, that's fine, I just wanna make sure it's on.
Yeah, I did, I
going
thought it
forward,
was,
so-
yeah.
Okay. Okay, just so everybody, would someone besides me explain it real quick for everybody else, just so we're all on the same?
Explain what?
what I'm looking at, if no one else can see it.
You wanna
Maybe
add,
Doug can explain
let me
it.
make sure I understand, and I'll do that by saying, this
Well, because
piece
Doug was
goes
in
with
the-
this.
It's gonna be, yes, it's gonna be part of the.
It's your backyard.
Yeah.
It's my backyard.
It's a massive property, right?
So,
North
so,
of it, yes.
It's adjacent to.
And where that.
so what we talked about was this little sliver of land is this CLL here.
Yeah.
Behind lot 8.
Yeah,
This part of lot 7.
this, some of the highlight I can draw here, show you.
I have one.
It goes like, this is the problem, you picked it, this we all, we hit the nail right on the head until about that point. Instead of going that way, it's gonna go
Over here, yeah,
See where this,
Yep.
this other drainage easement is?
yes.
That's where it should have been.
So what we talked about was this,
Yep,
right?
He starts.
And this,
and then there's the rest of it, gets across here.
Yeah.
We were just reconfiguring the HOA lot a little bit.
Yeah.
Which is now gonna be a town lot.
Right. Just so that it's on there before we
Yeah, we
finalize.
yeah, we just
We
missed
had a
it.
bunch of,
It was just a
we
little.
had a bunch of scrap paper in our office, we had a little inner office squabble, but somebody was right, I don't remember.
So what we had talked about was trying to get a buffer behind all the
Yes.
existing.
Yeah, this way,
Yeah.
the Lamasas can be assured that that's town property and
Behind
it's
them,
not
yes.
subject to a homeowner cutting down a tree, that's
Oh, no, cutting off the water.
the watering. Yeah, yeah.
If they block it off.
It won't be
yeah,
okay.
like-
We're not gonna touch it, that's the bottom
We
line.
can't.
It's gonna be the town's.
Okay.
Yeah, and the same behind the Britton and the Burns property.
I got a picture of it.
Yes.
It's town property. It'll be town property.
Yes.
Yeah.
Correct.
Very much you repeat that.
Yeah, behind the Britton property and the Burns property, it will be part of the town's deeded drainage district property. And
Yeah,
not,
that's true.
not the HOA. There will be no HOA.
And the supervisor was behind that 100%.
Yes.
And the town supervisor is.
The town.
Oh, that's not. We just talked about not.
Yeah, that's.
So, similar question up here was something that
Scott?
we've talked about with the easement. Versus easement
9.
versus who owns it, like.
Yeah, I thought we had decided. Yes.
So the whole thing.
Yes, for access.
For access
Because
in.
right now, there's a drainage easement and
It's not.
and an access.
That's what she was talking
And
about.
Oh, yeah, that's all.
Yeah, I think,
the pipe goes through this side and then the road goes through this side, but
and we talked about not really being visibly being able to see really a road, we were gonna put crush down and then put grass on top of it.
yeah,
Rudder crush.
yeah, that, but
So this will
the,
all be town.
Yes, yes, we're
it's
gonna.
only, is the whole thing belong to this lot? And it's an easement to get to it?
Yes.
In the town,
All right, so I just wanted to make sure that everybody heard that.
If they have an
so we'll
easement, they can.
Sure they can.
Focus on this
Absolutely.
part now.
Well, it's really 6 and 1/2 dozen of the other. If they have an access easement to get to their land versus owning it, it gets you to the same spot.
We talked about trying to make that look symmetrical.
Yes.
With grass over it.
Yes, we were
So
gonna,
We
why
did not
wouldn't-
want to pave there.
Yeah, we put a detail in there, right?
Yeah.
6
if they
inches of
own up
stone
to
with
here,
4 inches
why
of
wouldn't the
topsoil
town
over
just
top.
own that whole little strip? Why does that line stop right here at the end section? Why wouldn't the town just own this whole little strip?
because we felt you wanted it, you
Then
would
why doesn't it
prefer
go
it to
straight
stay with.
across? Like, I'm just curious.
Well, if you look where the property line is, downhill is the detention basin.
Oh, because this is part of the
Yeah,
stormwater
uphill,
system.
we
Oh,
wanted,
okay, yeah,
we
yeah.
wanted to give the individual homeowners the ability
Yeah.
to mow lawns to the property
That
line,
makes
because
sense.
if they don't mow that, then you're gonna have like a
Because
weed
this is
strip
part of
there.
the facility,
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
yeah, okay.
One of the big problems originally was the size of the pond. It's 13 or 14 feet deep, people were worried about little kids drowning in it. It had a capacity of about 1 million gallons. I see it's now an acre feet and it's much less deep. Is that because of all the things you've done in all the other places to catch the water? So it doesn't get down here in a great big pond?
Yes and no, the basin configuration did not change a lot. The biggest change in the past year was we had 3 drainage ways, one going off Hoag Lane, one going through the middle of the site, one going in the back. And Rob Cushman wanted the drainage to not go down the swell, he wanted to bring it into the street, so that caused all the pipes that are within the pipes all went up by a size of 6, so the 24 went to 30, or the 18 went to 24, so, but all the water gets there, the size is the same.
Given that we seem to be developing bigger and bigger rainstorms, shorter periods in between them, will the Burnses and the Masses and the folks who live all around this place be able to sleep nights now?
Look at the California wildfires, who could commit to that? I mean, I can't, this meets the DEC requirements, and we have an additional flood area below it, but from an elevation perspective, both of those basins would have to be 3-4 feet higher for it even to touch their backyards.
Or more.
So, yeah, or more,
Well, and
so,
so this is a 4-to-1
yeah,
slope,
right.
which is for every 4 foot horizontal, there's only a foot of grade change. So this might look like a giant deep pit, but you can mow this on a riding mower without like falling off.
You see the gap, the wide
And this-
spacing?
this is
The
a-
wide spacing down is gonna be the wet storage. On a summer's day, that's what's gonna happen. Then the next 6 lines, that's what's gonna be your 100-year storm event, which happens not every 100 years.
It
and
doesn't,
it's
but
been
they
happening once or
changed.
twice a summer, yeah.
Those numbers have changed.
They have.
So they are updating that stuff as time goes on and our volumes become more frequent. So it's not, I know with all the lines really close together, it looks like a really deep hole, but once you think about it and look
No,
at
it's,
it.
from Aaron and I, let's just say this is 8 feet.
Yeah.
It's gonna be this high from here to there.
Yeah.
So the DEC's perspective on that, I'm not trying to make light of, a kid getting in that, but it's not like you're on a golf course and you fall into, 3 feet out, your ball's gone. Here, you could, 2
You can
feet
walk out.
and 8, it's walkable, and that's the logic of DEC.
These things have
Less
changed.
erosion, if you have a steep basin, it's gonna silt up. Their logic is and plus, if there's a lot of water in it, something like that's likely to get washed away. With the 1-on-4 slope, that's so much soil, the probability of the high point, breaching or washing the soil is very minimal.
Well, there's spillways and things, and what's interesting with this stuff is over time, things have gotten better. There's a basin over on Genesee Street, just west of where the stormwater work is going on underneath, or right near there. It's kind of like the woods have filled in around it now, but it was a basin, and I don't know who designed it, so maybe I should be careful, and it's got a fence around it. And that was how they were done for a really long time. And then that became known that that's actually an attractive nuisance and it's unsafe. Because kids would get over, go to hide out and do whatever, and then they would fall in, and either people wouldn't know or first responders couldn't get to them because they'd have to deal with the fence and all this stuff. So we've moved away and moved into stuff that's more like this, where there's these vegetative benches and you can walk out of it and stuff like that. Now, one of my questions actually is tied to that kind of stuff, and that this is supposed to have a permanent pool. And I know Ruby's not here, but are you gonna line it? I looked at the test
not
pits and
gonna line it.
everything, and how are you, is that gonna be, if you were to find out that you hit a fracture in the limestone that was taken out of this site when it was a quarry, and you lose all your pond water,
It would
who's
be-
gonna come back and fix it and line it with bentonite or do whatever to make
It
it
doesn't,
hold water again?
based on all the perk tests we took, we did not find, we probably dug 16, 17
Yeah,
test
I
holes.
read it.
It holds water. I
But-
mean, it's,
But I think that there needs to be some assurance with something like this. And, I know Doug will be able to provide feedback, but I've seen these things where it's 100% fixable if it doesn't. But
but if it doesn't, if it drains vertically, you have more capacity. I mean, if
that's
you
not
don't
how
have
the design of the wet pond is.
the wet ponds based on
So
soils
what's
that don't
required
drain.
is, as they're building this, the town will have somebody out there observing the construction. And then the town will also take a certification from the design professional that's working on it, cross section, to make sure that everything is there, and the town will not accept it. Right, this is what we do on these other projects too, right? As they're out there building, we're out there, we're working with surveyors, we're working with design design professionals. You know, behind the scenes, we've got a couple subdivisions that are ongoing right now. And Rob and myself, Tom Poitras, are in lockstep with the activities that are going on site. It'll be the same with this project, and this will be a high profile project. And that's what will be going on here, right? I mean, Tom Poitras is out on these sites on a daily basis with all his inspections, with houses being built, and infrastructure going in, and Rob's guys go out. So I mean, it's not like this gets done in a vacuum. Everybody's out there, everybody's looking, right? There's a lot of stuff going on that you folks never hear about after the fact. You're right on a couple of these subdivisions right now. There's stuff that
you don't wanna know.
Yeah.
I bet I do.
It's
No, I bet I do.
it's just ironic because, you know, Doug can tell you this, the biggest challenge we have in construction is getting rid of the water, getting the water
I know.
out of the foundation, being able to build this without groundwater coming in, and then stabilizing the site quickly and efficiently, so we don't have too much open area. So,
Well, I'm asking because I know it's a concern that at least I've been hearing from people nearby the project who want to know what to expect, want to know what they're seeing and understanding. And so I'm following up to make sure that I understand so that they're hearing the answers too. Will this need to have an aeration system?
Yeah. Is it standing water?
Yes.
yeah, we have one in there.
So where's the
The way it
details?
does, let me just back up a little bit. We don't have to have one, but we're putting one in. DEC does not require an aerator, but we're creating a residential neighborhood, so, you know, extra mosquitoes, you know, that's not a good thing. So we think the aerator, one, makes a healthier environment, it makes it better for a better ecosystem, and it makes, you know, better neighbors, you know.
So I guess one of the things you're gonna have to do now, Scott, is you're gonna have to figure out the electrical detail.
Yeah.
And you're gonna have to figure out who gets charged for the service. Where's that go? Because in a lot of lighting districts, those are things that get missed. So now we've got an added detail going into here that we hadn't discussed previously.
Right.
And if you're gonna put an aerator in, there's gotta be, I mean, it's a 3-phase power, it's a single phase, what type of aerator have you got in there? And where's the meter?
Right, so I had thought about that because I know DEC doesn't require them for this design, and I know that was something that's a big concern, so.
Is that on both bonds or just one bond?
That's in the expensive edition.
It's gotta be in the map plan report.
Yeah.
You can take those, sometimes you leave them in, usually there's a hook and an attachment, you fish around and take them out.
Traditionally, they're taken out down.
Yeah.
If you go over and look at Erie Village.
Yeah, there's a hook pulley system.
The most I think about Barry Park, but it's just thing I see most often. I don't know if there are others come out or not.
So will that go and be stored by the town and be installed by the town and all that stuff? I don't know anything about them.
The responsibility of the town, they would have to find a real to do that.
So there's another issue I would just bring up, talking about water. I understand that there's a existing spring on that property that is visible most of the, I think it's next to building 1, is it, or building 9?
9.
Building 9. Has that been taken into account?
That's known. During construction, we're gonna find more. And typically what we do is you add under drains, and we have a great, pretty expansive network of drainage easements, so we'll drain into those drainage easements. When you dig, it's no different than your residential house. When you dig your basement, it's groundwater, so you put in some pump and you take it someplace. And we have notes on the plans that, you know, people have to discharge, not in their neighbor's yard, but they have to discharge it to a back or rear yard as well. So yes, it'll be addressed during construction, and we have all the easements in the plan.
Okay. So in the interest of moving to the next thing we want to do here, in the path. I think it's time for a public hearing. If we need the subdivision.
We need to fix that line.
Fix it,
Yeah.
right, fix that, then and wherever else is gonna be on the plan, it gets fixed. that we get the, I know it's a lot, but we wanna get to this point where we're in a full set, exactly what's gonna be looked at by the public. You know, what are we thinking for a public hearing? Not the next meeting, but in a couple, with like,
Yeah,
the next.
the next one, I mean, the next would be, the next possible date is February 10th. So we can push it to.
I mean,
We do all that.
if, so if we get it, if we get a public
Based
hearing.
on what they
now-
think we're gonna get it.
Yeah.
When, if we could possibly have a public, the earliest would be February 10th.
I don't think.
But I'm
I don't
not
think
sure
that's right.
everything would be ready and have us be able to review it in the public, so we can push to February 24th would be the next meeting. The deadline for that would be,
Well, we'd like to,
February
Well,
12th.
we're gonna address it. We have to address that, the changes,
yep,
and we need to address engineering comments,
correct,
which Doug needs time to give those comments, so,
and,
I mean, he's gotta be factored, and then we gotta respond to the comments,
Right.
right? So I guess,
and we want the map, I'd like to see the map plan and report.
Yeah.
Before the public hearing.
I believe we submitted that for review.
Oh, is
So
it, Doug, you got that? the
Yeah,
map
the
plan
draft.
report already?
If we did, I'll double check with Rudy. I thought he submitted it. If he didn't, we will
You
get
may
that.
have submitted it to
We haven't seen it.
town board, but not to Doug yet.
maybe, that's probably very
Yeah.
possible.
And it'd be nice to know where the town board is and where everything is with the, who's gonna own the drainage easement versus like where they all, it sounds like the town
They've
board.
decided.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's all done.
It's
It's not-
in the map.
It's in the map, plan report,
It's all
and it will be
there.
revised to, this will
Okay.
be revised to be consistent.
Okay,
So the, yeah,
can we
so,
get on that first?
yeah, so the idea is, why don't we, at our next meeting, see where we are and then try to put it on, I'm saying for the second meeting in February. Would be
The goal,
Yeah, that's
the goal, right? But, let's say, oh, we're like 99% there, well, let's get it on, let's,
okay.
Yeah.
keep it moving, but, most of it is on you guys right now.
Oh,
And then
Is it
if Doug hasn't seen it,
Hey, Jamie, if I can interrupt real quick,
Yeah.
I think there's 3 deliverables. One is the construction drawing before you.
Yep.
2 is the map plan and report.
Yep.
And 3 is the, I won't call it the Mylar or the final, but the plat plan that shows from the surveyor where the easements are.
Subdivision.
The subdivision plan.
right,
And that,
but.
but that, I have to make the change on our drawings
Yeah, it's all gotta-
before I give it to everybody else.
Right,
And we would, before we, I guess, Tom, from my perspective, Doug, I guess is, before, we'll make all those changes, that's no problem, but I guess, what do you think the timeline of, I know you got a lot to look at, though, what do you think the timeline is on your review of our upsizing of the pipes and things like that?
I don't really know, Scott.
Yeah, I'm just throwing it out there.
Well, listen, Doug doesn't have to be 100% done with his review to get the public in
Oh,
here,
that's, yeah,
right?
if you're agreeable to that, that works for
We
us.
want-
That's fine, and we just didn't know.
But
if
we
you-
want as much as we can, because we don't want it, that's gonna be April, May, there's no reason for that, right?
I just, it's fine, it's just reprinting another whole set of plans. When it sounds like right now, there's just one page.
you could do half scale.
Yeah, we don't. These are
Well,
like necessarily.
The only
you can
plan,
do-
the only one we're changing is the subdivision.
People are in the
Well,
weeds
oh,
now.
Well, it's on all the
Oh,
plans,
it's on
but,
all-
Yeah,
yeah.
you're right.
But they don't have to be this large.
If the cost of
Somewhere
printing
between that
drawings
last
is a
project.
setback, then maybe we have to have a different kind of conversation.
I mean,
well,
we do this.
again, I'm not suggesting print these and we'll see what happens and then see what Doug says. But I'm trying to get to a
Yeah,
realistic,
so we could set a realistic.
We will.
right, we want,
will-
and we want the public in here, we don't wanna be then going, and now you have to change it, and this was a great,
Yeah,
look what the public said. Although most people have been involved and we have an idea of what their comments are, but
We understand. Yes, we'll revise them, submit them, and then we'll see where we're at the next meeting and see if we can set it for a public hearing after that, and the second meeting in February.
Next meeting is what?
so the next meeting is January
10th. 2 weeks from now.
2 weeks.
2 weeks.
Yeah, January 27th is the next meeting, but the deadline is Wednesday.
That's not gonna, no.
Well,
We can't do it.
yeah, but what I'm saying is,
We don't have to.
I know, we can revisit, the only idea is to keep it moving, so we can set the public hearing. Right?
Yeah.
Right, because they won't be able to have anything
But
in the
we
news.
gotta give you something.
When did you want to send it?
Like February 24th.
It's changed, it's
I think we
printing
can
every
set
one
it,
of those.
yeah.
drawings.
Just set it and
You only
then
have to
say,
do it one more time.
get it working.
How many half scale set, how many?
I don't see why half scales, I mean, is that a problem?
No, it's not a problem. I'm just trying to get the
No,
final
I mean, I
answer.
guess I shouldn't say
No,
that.
Not for us, but it's all right.
Half scale works for me, but I'm not the one who should decide.
Yeah, half scale is fine. For me.
I agree, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, if we decide that we're good, we're gonna set the public hearing, and we're gonna count on them to get this stuff and Doug to start reviewing, then we don't have to have them come back next time.
Right.
Just,
Yeah.
Just set it
Well,
for the 24th.
If it's just the half scale drawings, we can do that by Wednesday.
Oh, with the
Okay.
change.
But we're gonna make some changes.
Yeah, but to
We
have.
gotta make the changes.
What other changes?
We're just making
Yeah.
the lot.
I think we should set, yeah.
Well, because I have comments.
I think we should set it today,
Not
and as long as Doug is okay with that, I think it's fine.
And they
Well,
may
why
be
don't
able
we
to
do
wait.
this? Why, I mean,
Give those
when's
comments.
the
over to
submission for
Doug.
224?
No,
When do you need the plans by, for the 224 meeting?
February 12th.
February 12th.
February 12th, can you give, anybody else has comments, you can provide to us, and we'll give you, the drawings by February 12th?
you might not make any
Right.
changes based on my comments.
We may
Yeah,
not, but we
so
can
here's-
at least digest them.
Yes, but nothing
Typically, we
crazy.
could schedule.
Well, maybe one.
because
Karen,
we
what
schedule
type
public
of
hearings
comments?
February
You
24th.
wanna, when they're done, I'll show you.
right.
Right,
Let's
there-
go ahead and
But there may be
schedule that.
more.
And then
Probably.
give them a deadline that works for us. I'm saying, you know, if we're scheduling this far in advance and things are moving along, if we schedule for February 24th, and we say, we need to have our drawings to us by X, like pick a date that works for Doug.
Where does the,
February 1st.
I think that's reasonable. Does that sound
Does
good?
that work for you guys?
Well, what's February first? We're drawing.
Submitting the drawings.
Yeah.
Right now, we don't have a lot of.
Yeah, based on just that without.
But should we be expecting additional comments from the board before February 1st? That we need to incorporate?
I think the
Other than
comments are
Doug,
coming
we
from
understand. that.
engineering.
I got a couple of points.
Okay.
Yeah, like there's.
Okay,
people-
all right, yeah, are there any other comments from the board now while they're here? Go ahead, David.
So I got a question first. What's the upper pond, what does it feed? Where does the water go from there? Downhill.
I don't want to be smart enough to say downhill, but it goes down.
February 1st.
Yeah, February 1st.
Down, this is the intermittent stream and it discharges there and there's a crack pipe and a culvert and it goes into the community. But we're slowing. Yeah, we're storing and slowing down the water greatly with the amount, not only this water, but it's offset water too. So there's acres of other water, there's water.
The second question, this is something for you to take a look at. Part of the concerns of the community, from what I understand, is there is water right now that flows down Hope Lane.
That's not in our watershed.
I understand.
Yep.
So my
Well,
thinking-
actually, the water, some of the water, if the pavement is pitched towards the property, it's gonna go into that swell that we designed right here.
I think.
Any water that
But
comes,
that bypasses
I
the
think that
basin.
addresses my point, I just wanted to be said in public.
yeah, I don't, because this is an older road, so some of the water goes on this side and some goes this
So
side.
when you are doing site preparation and stuff, if you are aware of that situation, any amelioration of that, would be helpful.
Yeah, anything in blue, that shoulder of the road will pitch away from the edge of the road.
Exactly.
What the road does,
That's a different story, but I'm saying it can ameliorate the situation as you're taking a look at it.
yeah, that's one of the changes we had. Originally, the water went down this way, now we had it that way. Should drain.
I'm done.
Okay. Yes, Rich.
Jamie?
Yes.
The creation or extension, I guess, of the water district, what's the process and where does it stand?
Well, it's right now, covered, the whole drainage.
Well, I think it's drainage district too, if they want to expand.
Yeah.
So
Right.
do the people that are in drainage district 2 now have any say in this?
There will be a public hearing about it over.
With the town board.
Town board.
With the town board?
Yeah.
And then it's a town board decision, it's not, no one votes on it other than the town board.
Right.
But that process hasn't started yet.
Well, I guess there is a
Okay.
plan and
Met
report
plan and
somewhere.
report, but it hasn't come to it hasn't been part of the town board meetings yet.
Okay.
That makes sense.
Yeah, I don't see it in our solution. Not the same.
Are there any additional comments from the board that they would need to hear to incorporate into
I'm not
change?
sure he needs to hear if there's just one of the lots is under the 40,000 square foot minimum. We do the subdivision approvals. I just sort of rolled in and accepted in that process.
Which one?
Which one?
Lot 9.
Is there,
31,000 square feet.
I thought that drained it, yeah. No? Is it too?
At the last meeting, it was kind of agreed to that, the board was accepting of that, it will just slide.
I just wanted,
Oh.
It was kind of a
if we're on a roll to
create
get
that
something
lot
done,
seven.
I
That's
have to be
in the
certain.
minutes.
to create that community detention basin area, I think that was the discussion at the last meeting.
That was the
Then
trade.
it needs
More
a
private
ZBA.
property
You gotta
or
get a
more
ZBA.
town property. So more town property means less subdivision.
If we do a subdivision approval with one lot out of conformance, is that an accepted process, or does it need something distinct?
Gotta get a variance.
Fine, that's what I wanted to be, understand the procedure.
We want to keep all those streams and weeds and things on town property, not make 9 bigger.
I'm fine not making it bigger, I just wanna know
what the procedure is.
we're trying to get a process that provides completion points to remove any unforeseen obstacles.
Good.
What's the next deadline for ZBA?
So you'll have to go to ZBA for that lot
For
nine.
February, it'd be the
Good
29th.
catch.
Yeah, just.
Can't, because then it
The meeting, the
detracts
next,
from
the
everything that they
ZBA
asked for.
meeting,
We can't have it both ways.
Why is that? What,
this board cannot vary lots.
I understand.
We're trying to figure if there's a way to get it above the minimum.
No, we had it on the plan, it was changed.
How does it change?
It was changed to
To do accommodate the drainage
space.
Because of the,
The town, for lot 17, the town parcel. I got to answer these guys.
I know.
Okay, so
One second.
just get a ZBA application. That one lot.
And one side note, if we adjust lot 8, becomes smaller, is that gonna stay above 40,000
Jamie,
square feet?
Jamie, why couldn't we take lot 9 and make it, conforming, and take that land from lot 17, which
No.
we're deeding to the town? Why go through?
Because I don't know.
We're talking,
Yeah.
it's
I don't know,
not
we don't
much,
have plan
it's not much square footage.
how much square footage are we talking about, first of all?
About 8,700.
I don't think it's an issue either way.
If you were to shift that over, how
You
much,
think it could?
is it a couple feet,
It's
it's
so much
like,
open space, right?
Yeah.
It's being deeded to the town,
Yeah,
right? I mean,
I mean, lot 17 is huge, it's being deeded.
8,000?
Yeah, just move that lot line a little.
Move this back lot, this lot line back.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
There we go.
Okay.
That's another change then.
Well, we gotta make the change to.
No, but
Yeah,
good catch,
just
John, thank
take
you.
notes.
Before it's. Before we go to another.
It'll be the end where we're approving it, so it'll be like, it's not.
No, all the rest are above 40.
can't make it, it doesn't work.
We'll look at it.
Okay, yeah, either way,
They only have one minute.
if you do change your mind for ZBA, just so you know, real quick, Lisa, their meeting is this week, right?
Well, the deadline is
The 29th for February.
29.
29.
For
Yeah.
February, yep.
Of January.
Okay.
The
Okay.
29th is the deadline for hearing on.
For
ZBA.
ZBA meeting in
Wednesday.
February.
February meeting, which would occur before
Before
the
the
public hearing.
Well,
So it's
couldn't,
not the worst thing,
Yeah.
I'm just saying.
couldn't you also move the lot line between 9 and 10 up a little?
There's not
No,
enough there.
there's not there, you'd have to move it to
Yeah,
11,
just on
which
the
makes
margin.
that.
I'm not seeing the square footage, so I was just curious.
Yeah,
It's
so
only
I'm not
700
either.
square feet, about 40,000.
Yeah, it's only
Alright.
40,000.
So
That's your law.
my
That's gonna
question,
then mess up
can
their
you see
front
those,
footage
can
requirement.
you see?
Yeah,
those?
It's 150 feet.
Okay. Thank you, Don. Are there any other comments?
Well, this is just kind of a, is this
Scott,
something that could happen? So we talked about leaving this undeveloped because there's a bunch of mature trees in here, right? And all of the water from here to the other high point, and then all of this, all three of these lots from behind the curb, all that water eventually comes down through here.
Yep.
Right,
Yep.
which I know you've accounted for in your
Yep.
accounts, so it's not about that. To tie these two areas of non-disturbance together, rather than cutting through the middle with a swale, would it be possible to protect and increase the screening from the neighbor to have this swale come along the back here?
Well, if
It
someone
would
wanted
be
to put a
so
pool,
much less disturbance.
yeah, but if somebody wanted to put a pool in, that's what's gonna be right in
It would go around the back of the pool.
Actually, it was one of Rob's questions was to minimize having basin easements going through properties. He strongly recommended that we put them to the, keeping them to the sides. The
I
only,
agree.
the only exception was.
Over here, I get it, because you're right along the edge of disturbance, you're
Yeah.
right along the edge. But here,
But
couldn't
this-
this come this?
But you know what would have to happen? This grade is,
It's 4 to 1.
it's 16 feet higher, so you'd have
Be a
to,
steeper
you
swale.
would walk out your backyard, there'd be a low point, and then you'd have a mound, and then you'd have a big downhill.
Right, but wouldn't,
It could be done, but it would not be a desirable.
it doesn't have to be that deep, it's only a foot deep now.
Yeah, but when you're going downhill every 4 feet,
Yeah, I
It's gonna
know, but
push
it
it.
would just, it could just tuck right up in.
do you know what that would do? That would take what's happening now in 10 and 11, I went over this with Dave,
Okay,
because he lives here.
yeah,
There's some trees that we can save right
Yeah.
now. So the trees right now, these trees in this zone would be safe,
yep,
because you're putting a basin around the backside of it. If we put an easement through the middle,
it's gonna take
you
them
take
out,
out those trees and you leave some trees there.
which aren't as good,
Well, there's actually, he pointed out to me this morning, there's some beautiful trees, and we can talk about this in greater detail at the public hearing. There's a bunch of trees right on the property line that he's concerned with, but we've gone to a 30-foot easement, so I think any tree that's on the property line, I think in the field, we can talk, maybe we can work on, within that 30-foot easement, we could adjust the swell within the easement. Those are field conditions.
that could be really a great solution to that, and then, because it probably doesn't need to be this big.
But
And then if that could get tightened up, it was a question that I wanted to ask.
I lay out a lot of subdivisions, and I've done it before, where you put the swell right through the middle of the site, and you talk about homeowners filling in the
Oh, yeah.
swell.
Okay,
Yeah.
You put it in the middle of the backyard,
okay,
and then you can't mow it with that big ravine.
okay,
Did you see where lot 9 is?
Yeah.
I don't know why we just know that.
Well, you're, no,
should
right.
bring it over here.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's what we were saying.
Yeah, I can do that.
And, but you don't want this, you want the town to own that backyard.
yeah,
I
well,
guess
you'd only have to take 8,000 square feet, which
The
is
reason-
probably like that much.
The reason 9 became non-conforming is when we redrew the lot lines, we just squared it up.
Yeah,
And you
it
got
connects
The square
down.
footage, you're
Yeah.
right.
Well, then
So
this
so
is
all you
giving-
gotta do is move the lot.
Play
line.
with it.
Yep.
Yeah.
Because these streams, I think it's important that this whole area has random leaves that come up all over the place. I mean, they're underneath the roads, you see them leaping through, I mean, so that will all have to be dealt with during construction. That's not something they know exactly where it is.
That helps.
Yeah, so with the, talking about the trees and trying to protect the trees and, you know, fixing that and, something that I found is really important is restoring the edge, the transition zone between, a wooded area and an
The
open
cut line,
area,
like
the
where you-
ecotone it's called, and that's the transition item. There's words for it, but, that's where the big habitat lives. That's where like the bugs and the birds and the things like that. That's what's most important. And then planting that appropriately, not just having that cut off, but having native shrubs and things that develop the upper story, the understory, and then the shrub layer as you come out.
Well,
It
just
would bring a lot of
for
value.
what it's worth, we have a general seeding mix we use for residential
Yep.
properties. And we, in the basin
I
area,
saw that,
we
yeah.
actually do it's a wildflower seed mix.
Right.
So that,
No, I'm talking
Does-
about coming in, and I tried to go back and find the drawings from Twin Ponds, but I don't think the most recent ones are on there right now. I asked them this exact same question, and, their solution I thought was really good, and I wanted to show it to you so you can look at it. I don't know who did it. There's a strip of a seed mix, a different Ernst mix.
yeah, that's exactly the seed mix we have
Right.
specified for what they.
Well, and they're making them now, and they're custom, but there's a separate type of a seed mix that goes in like the first 15 or 20 feet that is not meant to be maintained ever again. And you plant in a couple, beginner understory shrub plants, and that kind of softens the edge, and it actually, people like that, it lends value to your properties. But that will do a lot in restoring some of this stuff, because so many of the mature trees are down. And while, you know, in some places, I think it's great to leave those because they provide great, you know, recycling into the soil. In other spots, it will be probably really nice to do that as kind of part of the screening. I feel like it's something more
We need some wood for woodland.
not super expensive. And then I couldn't find out where you have the seed massage, which, where we're getting sod and where we're getting seed.
I get another technical question for you guys. This is not something, right? Currently,
It's old.
this is old.
That's actually, it is there. If you look at the property lines, it's correctly for a discussion. If you look at lot 17, Jamie, that's.
But then you've got another one.
Yeah, there's another non-conforming, and that one's non-conforming by a lot more, so. But I hope it's not accurate.
If it's dated, this is what you asked for minus the one line.
So what's, we're looking at something totally different here.
Yeah, these numbers are totally different.
Lot 9 is drawn bigger, but its acreage is smaller.
This is the latest one.
So this is not right at all.
We see that, we just asked them. We should check, we can take all the numbers, that's the problem, Brad, we have so much documentation, we take it
It's our
off.
problem, right? So if this is not right, there's something here.
41,000 square feet including that.
So we got 8, 9.
There's something really out of line.
You gotta recheck that.
I was.
No, it's
sorry, not visual, I was just looking at this.
Yeah.
It's still-
Way emphasized.
That's why I went back, that's why we went all the way back here, and then we had the intermittent stream areas. But we were directed to do that to avoid the intermittent stream.
Yeah. It's gonna happen. But if you start going and messing with all of these property lines, it changes the grading plan, it changes everything.
The back one, it doesn't, it's affect that much.
Well, this is you know, 300.
That's an easy one to do. With 300 feet, I would make that change. It's one
Yeah.
side here as well. That's not, there's no easement on that line. I would make that one, but this one, Tom, I really.
What lot is it?
The thing is with lot 9, if you push it back, then you're putting the property line right over the top of that intermittent
Right.
stream that we're getting a permit for. That's why we did
That was
it.
the original reason why it's where it is, I think, actually.
Yeah, so you get a variance for the one lot, and then lot 1 is off by, that I can fix.
Or if you're going anyway, just.
I can straighten
Oh,
that.
yeah, sure. You just get them both.
They don't know it.
We'll wait till the public hearing. Mr. Burns. Yeah, we'll wait till the public hearing. Okay. That's why we're trying to get it scheduled quickly. That's why we're trying to get it scheduled. Okay. All right, Erin, are you all set with any planning board comments?
Offline.
Sure.
We'll talk offline.
Okay. All right, anyone else?
But then, wait, also,
Yeah, I think
once
we
this,
can-
once this piece comes out,
Nothing major.
Yeah, we'd love to
heads over
get it all
there.
on one plan.
The undersides, I don't think so. Is number 8 gonna end up being undersized
Can you take that off?
if you, when you, I don't think it's off. Don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think the variance is the way to go, because we put so much,
Yeah.
it works, the plan works very well, I understand from your perspective, it needs to check all the boxes, but from an engineering perspective.
We're just trying to save time, and we don't get to that point.
I don't think, but the timing is gonna be fine.
I'm fine with
Yeah.
mine, just gotta get it done.
No,
But the back later.
Yeah.
We're still doing public hearing on the board, they're meeting before that, we'll hear from them.
Well, we'll need to probably give them a recommendation prior to that.
We will.
Yeah, just second week of
it.
yeah.
Keywords project.
Yep.
So you would give a recommendation to the ZBA prior to,
You have to put your application in.
By 129.
And then our meeting will be
And then-
February.
10th.
I mean, as long as you get this map redone, it doesn't, it's nothing. CBA, nothing else.
And their meeting is February 13th, right? Or 20th, yeah. Okay, so,
First week of February, first meeting of February, we'll recommend.
yeah, we could do a recommendation February 10th meeting.
For the 20th,
Yeah.
for the ZBA.
Mhm.
Then we're back here on the
With
24th.
four.
For the public hearing,
Right.
and we'd have everything in. time.
Understood.
Which there will be an opportunity for comments. If anybody thinks of anything.
Yes.
Sure
Yeah,
you
no,
will.
It's all.
No, I really don't think so. I think I got it. I'm down to plants. That's the last bit.
All right.
Icing on the cake.
Wanna hold it?
Well, and this is important. This is not site plan review.
Right,
Yeah.
It's a subdivision. If there's anything that really like is critical, like the easements, any specific notes or non-disturb or forever wild or whatever it needs to be, has to be on the subdivision.
Are the easements 30 feet now? Or just 20? Are the easements now 30 feet? I'm saying so about 30 foot.
We made the 130 that Mr. Chrisman told us to make 30, the sanitary easement's 20.
Okay.
we were discussing a specific spot on the site.
So the south border is still 20.
I don't know that. I have to look at that.
Yeah. Okay. David, anything else?
It would be on the plan.
Yeah.
As directed by DPW.
And the deadline for submission for the 224 meeting is 2/3, because 2/5 was a Saturday.
Yeah, that's
No,
fine.
two,
We're making a deadline that would work for everyone.
Right.
yeah, two, yeah, if we can have plans
Yeah.
by, it's not an official deadline,
so 2/2,
whatever that Monday is,
oh, that month.
The third.
the third.
Right. so
Yeah,
3.
then that gives us enough time and it gives us enough
For the
time to get
24th.
it published
and
for
then it
public
gets
review in time for the 20th.
For the 24th.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, you can bring them on Saturday, but I don't think he's.
I'm not gonna be here. I know. And yeah, we just, when, the question about the easement on the south side of the property, again, the subdivision and the map, this map are contradicting 20 and 30.
Make it match.
Right.
Yep.
Have a fine tooth comb. Okay.
Are you setting a public hearing date?
But,
Are you setting a public hearing date?
yeah, so I need a motion to set the public
I
hearing.
make a motion to set the public hearing for the Woodland
Yep.
Hills project on
February
February
24th.
24th.
Okay, motion made by Aaron, second by Rich, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, motion carries for the public hearing for February 24th for Woodland Hills. Wait, wait back. Yes. I only have one other thing, real quick for other business, but we're, the town, we're working on a planner position, and I'm hoping that we can have him speak at one of our upcoming meetings real briefly, just so everybody on the planning board can, meet him and hear a little bit, okay? Great, all right.
Make a motion to adjourn.
Second, I motion to adjourn by Rich, second by Judy, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, we can adjourn. Thank you, everybody.
Aye.